10 o'clock, welcome in. It's three-man front here on Jox Nation. Hope you're ready for a fantastic Wednesday. My name is Landrum Roberts. Co-piloting today, one Conrad Van Order.
With some very clean teeth.
And your crew chief is Molly Robinson. Oh, it's so gross. We were talking about it on the show. Pat Smith back with us on Monday for SEC Media Days. He's well-deserved time with his family as they enjoy Mike Griffith's place down on the Alabama Gulf Coast. But going back to yesterday, in case you missed the show, it was gross. Towards the end is Conrad. He accepted the bet. I think the pool, what was the final tally?
$226 and 2 beers.
$226, 2 beers later, 2 toothbrushes, used toothbrushes later, where he brushed his teeth for way too long time. I was telling Molly
$200 for a lifetime of embarrassment.
I said,
that is disgusting.
I was like, what do you think Conrad did to just try to? The only thing I could come up with is just put a little bit of lighter fluid in your mouth and light a match.
I will
just catch it on fire for about three seconds.
I will tell you exactly what I did. I went home. I brushed my teeth. I used some Listerine. I brushed my teeth again, and I brushed my teeth every 2 hours until I went to bed last night.
Did you tell your wife?
Yes.
You did?
What was her reaction?
Probably would have preferred I didn't do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's putting it mildly, maybe?
Yeah. I didn't sleep on the couch, so that was good. I didn't get relegated to the couch last night, but no. And well, it changed her tune a little bit too when I told her, "Hey, we're going to the beach, in the near future. We'll go out and have a nice dinner at the beach." It's like, oh, okay, well, that makes me feel a little bit better about it, but I think she's worried about going to work today because fortunately at UAB, there are a lot of people that listen to our show and are big fans of what we do on Three Man Front, and they tell her all the embarrassing things that I say, and so she was worried about going to work today and people maybe choosing to be married to me.
Well, I can see that.
One of the positives from yesterday, I think we promoted dental health.
Absolutely.
In some weird way, shape, and form.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I guess that's a good thing. I don't know what would be worse, having your dog lick inside of your mouth or using some random. And you were lucky. Molly was right. You were lucky that you had 2 of our female listeners that brought that up, and I don't know why that makes it better.
You were very lucky with the toothbrushes you got.
But you didn't get it from. I don't know. It probably still
could have been worse. No,
it could have been worse.
And it could have been, and fortunately, nobody went and scrubbed it on a toilet bowl or anything that I'm aware of. At least maybe they did, but I think it. Yeah.
How are you going to spend the $226
at the beach? We're going to go out and have a nice little time when we go down to.
You're not gonna spend it on me in Atlanta next week.
Destin. Yeah, that's right. We'll go to I'll treat you, Pat, and Paul to the hookah bar. On me. Hookah on me.
Yes, but I want my own hookah, whatever they call that thing.
You don't want to share?
No, I'm not pulling it after you.
Okay.
I don't think I could do that either. I was appalled last night, though, because I had to go back and watch the video when Pat actually did send me the footage that someone took on their phone, because I had to go through and edit it and make sure the sound was okay, and I did not enjoy that. I did not enjoy reliving that.
I might conveniently forget my toothbrush at home when we go to Atlanta, and me and Landrum are sharing a room, so I'm just saying that may need to borrow yours.
You guys are roommates.
Yeah, it's like we're in college.
That's so fun.
I think Landrum was more excited about that 24 hours ago.
Yeah. There's certain rules that I have.
Are you guys going to use the drawers or just keep everything in your suice?
Some
people use drawers.
I use drawers.
See, I never have.
If I'm staying longer than a couple of days, I use drawers. I was called a psychopath and maybe a closet serial killer for doing it. But I don't like continuing to dig through my bag.
Yeah, I respect that.
Well, and I'll wear collared stuff there too, so you like to hang that up and have that.
But I do bring Clorox wipes, and I will wipe down the drawer before I put the clothes in there.
That makes me feel better.
And I bring extra hangers because they never give you enough of those hangers.
Or they're like the weird hangers.
Yeah, the weird hangers.
Maneuver.
The weird things. Speaking of appalling, I do want to start out with a little Major League Baseball news. And I just want to do this so I can get this off my chest and we don't have to talk about the Braves for the rest of the season. But the Braves last night, they were in West Sacramento taking on the formerly known as the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah.
They got beat 10-1. It's really bad when you have a leadoff inside the park home run.
Yeah, and then you hit a batter, and then the next guy hits a 2-run home run.
Yeah, had a grand slam in that game. That was interesting.
Yep.
10-1 the final. The A's beat the Atlanta Braves. It's not going to get any better, Braves fans. I was even going back to 2017, and that team that only won 72 games. You know they were 42-45 at the break.
Really?
That particular team.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Braves are not going to get there. All hope is lost. Now already starting to look at Vegas lines. And Brian Snitker is right there at the top as next Major League Baseball manager to be fired.
Yeah, and as we've talked about, you would imagine you would get through things with the All-Star break, and again, I know y'all have said this a lot, and I tend to agree with it. It feels like you would wait until the end of the year, right, out of respect for him, and then he will either choose to retire or end up with a different position in the front office there for the Atlanta Braves because he's been with them for so many years and decades at this point. But yeah, it's rough, and it doesn't help when you're struggling against teams that I guess we would consider to be the bottom of the barrel of Major League Baseball.
You know the next manager most likely to be fired, Mark Kotze, manager of the Athletics. So funny you brought that up. Looking down the list, you got Alex Cora of the Red Sox, who's down the list, but Aaron Boone makes an appearance on the list.
He should be number one.
Aaron Boone is on the list, but substantially worse odds than one Brian Snitker.
Yeah, it's look, I feel for you. So did you? And I feel like Braves fans will probably take this approach the next couple of days because I know tonight's game, it's a 9:05 first pitch Central Time.
Is it?
It's an excuse to not watch it, right? Because it's that's I'm getting in bed by that time. I'm winding down for the night, and it kind of just gives you a free.
You call me a fair weather fan. I watched a lot of Braves baseball. I attended a lot of games as a kid with my family, and we went and watched Braves. But this particular team, this is not good for my health. I have options. I can watch other things, and I can choose not to subject myself to that misery. I don't need that in my life right now.
Is this the most frustrating season you have had as a fan of a particular team?
I'm so glad that you brought that up. Frustrating. Yes, it's right up there, but I was thinking about expectations prior to the start of the season. Mm-hmm. Expectations. This is almost an identical roster that we had in 2023. And there's been some injuries. Profar, he gets caught popping. Apparently, it's not helping him very much, not having the vitamins because he's hitting 225. Struck out again last night, went 0 for 4, but as did a lot of Braves. Ronald Acuna is out with a back tightness. That's probably from trying to carry the team on his back since he actually made his debut.
Because he's been great.
But these Braves, they're not a good team. And the expectations for and I just want to equate it to college football because fans can relate here in this state. Mm-hmm. I think back, and I'll get things started. For me, for Alabama football, I think back to the 2000 season. You're following it up an SEC championship. You're preseason number 3 in the country, and you go 3-8.
Yeah.
Auburn, you've got one, the first one that comes to mind, and it wasn't dreadfully bad, but based on expectations, it was just a year too soon. I think about 2003, that Auburn team being preseason ranked so high. You had USC early in the season, and we know what happened there. I think that was Hugh Nall and Steve Ensminger having to combine to call plays. But no, I just want to throw that out to you. What about you? What most disappointing, based on expectations, most disappointing season for you as an Alabama fan? All of them, we didn't win national titles. I know you're not going to do that, but
yeah, no, I mean, it's tough for me. I mean, obviously, because the wound is still somewhat fresh. I think a lot of people would just say, "Oh, well, it's last year," but I do think that in hindsight, you have to give a little bit of a break with what you had. Just with all the changes and with Nick Saban retiring. So I would probably go 2010, honestly, because that's coming off of the first national title under Nick Saban. And we all know, obviously, what happened in the Iron Bowl that year, but you also had the loss to South Carolina. You had a poor performance in your bowl game. And so I think that, for me, would probably stand out as just based on the expectations of that was Alabama's opportunity to go and win back-to-back titles. Now, it obviously worked out, and they bounced back pretty well the next couple of years. But, yeah, 2010 for me.
2010 would have been a runner-up. And just based on talent.
Because of expectations. Again, like people, you won 9 games, and it's disappointing. But you were just coming off of a national title. And
I wish I was lucky enough to say that 9 games was a disappointment.
I know.
What about for you, Molly?
Every single one of them under Scott Frost, which is a tangent I'll get on much later in the show.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
16 and 31. I'll just leave it at that. That was his record in his 4-year tenure up in Lincoln.
That was the wrong job, Molly.
It was.
Let's not jump the shark, but yes, we will get to Scott Frost and some of the comments that came from Big 12 Media Days, which are continuing today, where Coach Prime will make an appearance and talk about his Colorado Buffaloes. We do have some recruiting news. It happened. I hope the Don Dons of the world, they're really, really excited. But Auburn has landed a 4-star linebacker from the state of Florida.
All right, and you told me before the show, because I will be honest, I said this morning on Morning Jox, I apologize, I did not know how to pronounce this young man's name. So please tell us how to pronounce his name.
Adam Balagoon Ali.
Balagoon Ali.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool name.
4-star linebacker, Adam Balagoon Ali.
So we're doing that for everybody now?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
That's our culture.
I kind of like it.
I do.
No, I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. Well, that's okay. See, that makes sense because I think it was Don that called into our show this morning, and he said that his nickname is Gooner, and so that would make sense with the pronunciation of his name. Yeah, Balagoon Ali. So yeah, there you go.
Up to that point, and this was announced yesterday, but the Tigers had 8 commitments for the 2026 recruiting cycle, and they ranked 73rd in the country per On3.
Mm-hmm.
But we have an update.
Oh,
We have another commitment this morning for the Auburn Tigers. In case you missed it, Auburn has added long snapper Travis Wakefield to its 2026 class. Wakefield out of Lipscomb, which Coach Dilfer, he coached
up in
there.
Nashville, yeah.
Up in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good talent came out of there. Hank Brown, of course, was a quarterback there. He has committed to the Auburn Tigers. He is ranked the 7th best long snapper in the country by Cole's Kicking.
yeah. See, and that's it's funny because I heard you and Cole talking about it a little bit when we were swapping out here, but I thought the same thing because Alabama got a long snapper earlier this offseason.
Eli.
And I can't remember his name.
Well, is it Deutsch?
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's right.
Let's say Deutsch.
Yeah, you're right. And it's, but I didn't know Kohl's apparently is because, you think of clothing.
Yeah, a clothing store, department store.
Yeah. So
Well,
I'm
they
glad
have
to know
long
that
snappers,
they're
too.
expanding.
Yeah. He is ranked 7th. And for Auburn fans, just so you can get one over on your Alabama buddies today at lunch, Eli Deutsch was ranked 21st in the country as a long snapper.
There you go.
This is what Colt says about Wakefield. Are you ready for this player profile?
Oh, yeah.
Very exciting prospect in the 2026 class. He's everything a coach is looking for their long snapper. Wakefield is a top-tier snapper and athlete and is already receiving offers from college coaches across the country. He attended the 2025 Cold Spring Southern Showcase, solidified himself as one of the best prospects in America. He ran a 4.67 40 and scored on all but 2 of his 12 total long snaps. Don't know what that means. With an average snap time of 0.68 seconds.
That sounds good.
He is hands down a scholarship talent in the 2026 class. I did see an asterisk there, a star by the name. It said preferred walk-on, but I don't know what that means. I don't know if he's got a full scholarship this day and age with a house settlement. Anyways, he's added to the class, and now, according to On3, Auburn has moved up to 71st in the country in recruiting.
There you go. Well, and that was, I think, a takeaway from that. Again, you're going to have some people out there that are, it's a long snapper. Who cares? But this just shows you picked up a 4-star linebacker and a long snapper, and you've jumped up, about 15 spots in recruiting?
There you go.
So that's where you are. If you're Auburn, again, it's, I would say if you're looking ahead of the season, right, we'll see what happens on August 1st, but let's say you're able to get up into the 40s, right? It's a lot easier to see where you could go from, let's say, 40 at the start of the season to a top 15 class at the end of the year, as opposed to 70 to 15. That's a much bigger jump. So you can see how just a 4-star recruit and then a preferred walk-on right there, how big of a boost that can be.
And once you get your balance sheet, guys, and you know what you can offer, we'll get to that too, because apparently that's a thing.
And other conferences, apparently.
Big show planned. Don't go anywhere. Coming up, we've got Brian Edwards talk, updated over/under win totals for college football. Some specific ones you're going to need to write down. That and much more. It's 3-Man Front on a Wednesday. Landrum, Conrad, and Molly right here on Jox. 10-18, three-man front on a Wednesday.
Were you asking that, or did someone text
somebody was
that?
asking 205-834-9450. At the number three-man front on Twitter, and that is where you will find our Twitter poll question of the day. And today, the question reads, Conrad.
Yeah, so our question for the day is, which of these SEC teams is the most likely to make their first appearance in the college football playoff this upcoming season, 2025? Your options: Ole Miss, South Carolina, Florida, and Auburn. And right now, Pat Smith must be active on Twitter this morning because Ole Miss is running away with it with 42% of the vote. South Carolina and Auburn are tied at 21% of the vote. And then Florida in last place with 16%.
What was the question again?
Of the vote. Which team of those teams is most likely to make their first playoff appearance this season?
Okay.
So a lot of you think that the Ole Miss Rebels are, I guess, the best position to do that.
Pat's voting with his burners.
Yeah, he must be.
Yeah.
He's got his family involved.
You know,
It's a big thing.
this is the most dangerous time for Pat Smith. This idle time that he has. Can you imagine him?
He doesn't know what to do.
No. The things that he will find on his phone while pretending to relax on the beach. I can't wait for those.
I was actually thinking about that because he texted me for Molly Marinades a couple of the BB questions.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you okay?
No, he's not.
Like, can you, go relax?
No, he's got to force himself to do it.
Yeah.
It's easier for some of us.
Oh, he texted me at 5:45 this morning.
Of
Yeah,
course
like,
he did.
Man,
He did.
I was like, and I appreciate it, but I'm like, man, just sleep in.
Yeah.
But he can't. He works too hard.
We did mention Auburn picked up a 4-star linebacker from the state of Florida. Unfortunately, he's going to have to fill a void if he does, in fact, sign with the Tigers. News coming out about redshirt freshman linebacker DJ Barber, who was removed from Auburn's team earlier today, 2 days after his arrest on 3 charges, including felony drug trafficking. A quote from Coach Hugh Freeze saying DJ Barber is no longer a member of our football team due to a violation of team rules. In case you missed it, during a traffic stop Monday morning on Highway 280 in Dadeville, police discovered 2.5 pounds of marijuana, THC vapes, digital scales, marijuana packaging, and $1,897 in United States currency, a Glock 19 9mm pistol. And this is according to a press release by the Tallapoosa County Sheriff's Office.
Not ideal, and obviously in this situation, I mean, it hurts for Auburn, but you really just hope for the young man that this is a wake-up call of, hey, maybe I'm making some not great decisions in my life, and unfortunately, sometimes you have to go through some struggles to realize that and come out the other side a better person. But I think that's what we hope for in this
No
situation.
judgment here. He used poor judgment.
Yep.
And like you said, hopefully for his sake, not for football aside, just for life and moving forward, that everything works out. But not great news if you're Hugh Freeze, or particularly if you're DJ Barber. He played in one game last year and officially redshirted for the 2024 season. SEC Media Days, that's what we're going to be a part of in Atlanta coming up next week. I told you about it yesterday, but in case you missed it, Alabama, in addition to Coach Kalen DeBoer, the Crimson Tide's going to bring Deontay Lawson, Tim Keenan, and Caden Proctor. You surprised by any of those 3 names? Or are you surprised maybe by the omission of one name?
Yeah, I will say first off, I'm a little surprised that you didn't have either Ryan Williams or Ty Simpson. Now, I understand with Ty, it's his first year as a starter. Maybe you don't want to put him in that situation. But I would have thought for Ryan Williams, he's already been in the spotlight so much, and he is the biggest name, I guess, on your roster. But I think, I like the idea of you are rewarding your upperclassmen who have been there and have grinded for years. And that's what you've got in Keenan, Lawson, and Proctor. I know Proctor left for a little bit, but no, I don't have any problem with that. It's your senior leadership. I no problems.
Yeah,
but it is a little surprise. You would just think Ryan Williams would be there because of his star power.
I
wasn't surprised.
I was more so with maybe Ty Simpson and what that means if you are going to be unless Coach DeBoer knows something that we don't, but it is presumed that Ty Simpson is your starter to begin the season.
Maybe it's a mental thing, right? It's you don't want to give him the satisfaction of, hey, if I go to media days, I guess I'm the starter, so that competition's over.
Sure. all kinds of different things could have factored into it, but I thought that we would see, and those are the two names that I thought, one or the other, if not both. But understand those other guys worthy, and they're going to be a big part if the Alabama's Crimson Tide is going to have success this year. Those guys are going to have to certainly get it done. Meanwhile, for the Auburn Tigers, Jackson Arnold, their quarterback, will be in attendance. Keldrick Falk, defensive lineman, and Connor Liu, offensive lineman, will be joining Coach Hugh Freeze next week.
Did any of those surprise you? Because I think, the Jackson Arnold thing, right? It's, okay, well, you're the new quarterback, but we know he's going to be the starting quarterback. So that one makes sense. Keldrick Falk, I think that would be a lot of Auburn fans' first choice of who would go there. And Connor Liu has obviously been a really impactful player for them. So I think that's pretty solid. Did any of those surprise you, or any omissions that you thought maybe would be in attendance?
No, not really. It would be easy to say maybe a Cam Coleman or somebody else. But, no, I think those three guys are worthy. And also, part of it has to do with personality, too. If some guys are more comfortable than others, maybe that played. I'm not saying that played into it with either Kalen DeBoer or Hugh Freeze's decision who they brought, but.
Well, and I think, you brought up Cam Coleman. I think maybe, for him and Ryan Williams, for example, maybe there's the thought of, well, as long as everything goes according to plan, you'll be here next year. You'll be a junior. That's when we're going to take you and give you your opportunity. So maybe that's why that was the way that it was. But it'll be very interesting. I mean, I'm excited to hear from Jackson Arnold and his perspective on the offseason and how all of that's gone and the transition for him. So I'm excited that we're going to get an opportunity, hopefully, to sit down with him and talk.
Other teams from the SEC and who just some of the notables. Arkansas and Sam Pittman, they're going to bring the fourth best quarterback, according to SEC Mike, in Taylon Green. He'll be in attendance.
No surprise.
Not a surprise there. DJ Lagway will be in attendance for Florida. You've got Gunnar Stockton, quarterback from Georgia. He's going to be joining the Bulldogs. And LSU, Garrett Nussmeier. No surprise there. Chris Hilton Jr., also a wide receiver. And Austin Simmons, quarterback at Ole Miss. You get to show off that brain.
Yes, he is very smart based on what Evie Van Pelt told us. But, yeah, I mean, I think you just look at the list in general and you can say essentially all the schools that have their quarterback situation figured out, that quarterback's going to be there. The Alabamas, where there still seems to be a competition. I think Pribula's pretty locked in at Missouri, but he's not going. Kentucky's not taking Calzada, but they're taking all seniors. So it just, I guess that's the way that it goes. Tennessee not taking their quarterback, but that's not a surprise because of how new he is to the program and all of that. But I don't know. Maybe if you're just reading into the tea leaves a little bit.
Well, how about Texas? They're taking Arch Manning.
That's not a surprise.
Is he ready for it?
That is not a surprise.
He was born ready.
I will just say this because you and Pat were not with me in Dallas last year. On Texas Day, when Steve Sarkisian and Quinn Ewers were walking through Radio Row, it was, and I get it, it was in Dallas. It was their first year. Everyone was excited to see Texas and have them be a part of the mix. That was all that anybody cared about. So I can only imagine what it's going to be like with Arch Manning and Sark there this year, because last year they took over the whole day that they were there, and it's going to be like that tenfold.
Any of these guys that were going to be around, any of them you'll be a little bit starstruck? Would Arch Manning be the guy?
I think he would be the one that you would be the most like, oh, wow.
Well, that's what
really
he looks
cool.
like in person.
But it would be really interesting. And I think, one of the things I enjoy the most about this is just seeing these people like standing next to them and being able to size them up a little bit. Because I remember the last time it was in Atlanta when I was out there and I turned around and Bryce Young was right there standing next to me. And, it was a cool moment. Like, hey, introduce myself. But then you look and you're like, I'm bigger than you. Or like, you're with this. And you're like, that dude is an absolute monster. And I'm going to make a mental note of who that is because some people you can just tell physically it's just different.
Yeah. We'll have full coverage of SEC Media Days live from Atlanta all next week. Right now, you got Big 12 Media Days going on in Dallas. Revenge is a dish best served cold. I'll tell you what that means next on 10:31, three-man front here on Jox. Appreciate our friends, Jox Mobile. Jox, they're in Montgomery, but North Alabama and Hunt surrounding area, all around the state and all around Jox country. Yesterday, Big 12 Media Day. Today, just 2 days.
And then they're done. Yep.
And then they're done. But what garnered all of the attention late yesterday was former Nebraska standout player and coach.
Won us a championship.
Great player.
Scott Frost.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking now on behalf of UCF, where he's returned as the head coach. But he spoke to Chris Vanini and said, quote, what he learned from his unsuccessful stint as the Huskers coach. He said, quote, don't take the wrong job. Former Nebraska quarterback.
He's from Nebraska, too.
From Nebraska.
His dad played there?
Got paid a lot of money to lose a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to leave that comment?
Yeah, and he even went a little bit further with Chris Vanini because he added after that, he said, quote, I said I wouldn't leave UCF unless it was someplace you could win a national championship. I got tugged in a direction to try to help my alma mater and didn't really want to do it. It wasn't a good move. I'm lucky to get back to a place where I was a lot happier.
That
End
just
quote.
makes me laugh so hard. I didn't really want to do it. Then why did you take the job?
This is something that, and I'll give you credit, Conrad, for all the eating challenges that you have failed. You have never said, they made me do it. That's why I wasn't very good at it. They made me do it. You've never offered that excuse. I'm sorry to drag you into this.
No,
this
I
was just
appreciate
the
that.
only parallel that I could draw
No,
at
it's
the
a
time.
great parallel.
You've never done it. You have taken the loss, the beating, the beat downs like a man.
Mm-hmm. I try to do that every single time. So thank you. I'm glad that somebody has noticed here. But I mean, this feels so tone deaf and
There's no accountability.
no.
Don't take the wrong job. You did a bad job. You won 16 games in 4 years. You went 16-31. And listen, it's not my personality to throw him under the bus or talk bad about somebody. No, but like from a Nebraska fan, I'm truly just so over it. I'm over this whole Scott Frost narrative and talking about him. Like, can we just move on from both parties?
So let me ask you this.
We could if he didn't make comments like this.
No, I know, and that's the point. But I think myself and a lot of other people included, like, I'm sick of it.
When he was there,
we know what his record was. We know how bad it was. We know he left the place in shambles.
And we won't
Let's
get
move
into the
on.
gossip surrounding it because I saw a lot of those comments yesterday. I'm just asking you. You were a student there when he was a coach. Was there a whole lot of talk amongst the student body?
A ton.
About just different things surrounding Scott Frost.
Yeah. None.
Okay.
I don't know if any of them are true.
Sure.
That's why I don't want to speak on
No.
it. They're all allegedly, but oh yeah, a lot of student talk.
Mm-hmm.
So after he got fired at Nebraska and that whole situation was over, for the Nebraska fan base, was there a part of it where I'm sure you're mad and you're frustrated with how it went as a coach, but you still maybe you could hold on to what he was as a player?
Oh, absolutely.
And so you still had a special place in your heart for him because of what he meant to the program as a player, not as a coach. But this kind of feels like a statement where
this is a stab in the heart.
The Nebraska fans that still had love for Scott Frost, I feel like a lot of them probably don't anymore.
Like, he's calling it don't take the wrong job. Again, no one forced you to come here and win 16 games. And plus, not to mention, when you did get fired, you walked away with $35 million. I think you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
I will also note this does put an end.
By the way, God bless America. I just have to say that when you
he walked away with a lot of money.
Yeah. To lose a lot of football.
And including to Georgia Southern, mind you.
Yeah,
at home.
Capitalism at its finest. I don't want to.
If I'm a UCF, but wait, let's not forget. If I'm a UCF fan, I'm like, hey, we had this thing rolling. We had a mythical national championship parade. We had banners.
Yeah.
Well, and that's
you got a ring.
When he says I wasn't going to leave UCF unless it was for a place I could win a national championship, that closes it right there. That is not a real national championship. the head coach is acknowledging it right there.
I didn't even think about that, but
very
that's
good
valid.
point by you.
Because otherwise he wouldn't have left, right? Because he
Right.
wanted to go somewhere he could actually win a national title. So there you go. It's over, and that I'm glad that has been squashed. But I mean,
So if Mike Riley would have returned in 2018 at Nebraska and he would have gone 0-12, he still would have a better overall record than Scott Frost.
That's your stat of the day.
That's pathetic.
I mean, I'm just trying to imagine a coach here in the, imagine Lane Kiffin being like, yeah, they really had to twist my arm to take that Tennessee job. I can't believe that was such a stupid decision. Why would I ever have done something like that? They forced me to take the Tennessee head coaching job. Like,
Great advice that I was given, and it was my buddy who's also my pastor, but his dad gave him when he was young, and you probably heard it, and I've said it here on the show, is how you leave is how you land.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that this is a few years after Scott Frost, but why say that? Why? Even if you feel it,
Like,
you don't have to say it.
You don't have to say it.
No.
And this is a place where, you did so much for the university when you were a student because you did, in fact, win us a national championship. And even though the coaching part might have not gone so great for you, just take the high road when you get asked a question like that.
Were you bitter for being fired after that and getting paid all of that money?
Right.
Does Ed O seem bitter at LSU?
no,
No.
he's living a great life, and I just.
It's just,
I mean, do you think this is going to endear you more to the UCF fans than
Right.
before?
Well,
like,
that's
what
the thing.
do
We
you
had
gain
it
from
rolling.
this?
You knew
That's-
that you didn't want to go.
That's my exact
And then you left
question.
us here.
What
No
is he
disrespect to
gaining?
Gus Malzahn or
Yeah.
to Josh Heupel.
It just seems like, here's an opportunity for me to take a shot at something that's really been bothering me for the last couple of years, and I'm going to take my shot, and I don't care what you think about it. Which, I mean, that's his decision, but...
I like Matt Rule better anyway.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter to me. But like I said in the beginning, I was telling Landrum this morning because we were talking about it in the office. And again, coming from someone who was a student while he was the coach, I'm like, yes, I am mad, but I'm mostly just disappointed. Because I'm like, why do you keep taking shots? Just put it to rest. We're all so over it. Go enjoy your new job. We've been moved on for the past, this is Matt Rule's third year now. Like, just shut up.
Hey, it didn't work out. Hey,
It didn't work out.
Look, I was in over
And you
my
got
head.
$35 million out of it.
Yeah,
Great.
It didn't
Good for
work
you.
out. I wish it had. I love Nebraska. It's my alma mater. It'll always be home for me. And it's unfortunate that it didn't work out, but I'm happy to be back at UCF where I've proven that I, can be a successful head coach, and I'm looking forward to doing that again.
Not a good
Well,
look.
look, I bought into the whole Scott Frost to Nebraska. They were going to have success. I didn't think that they were going to have a repeat of what they
think
have under Osborne and
everyone
other
did.
coaches. But
Hey, we thought the same thing with Tom Herman going to Texas, right?
yeah.
And we were talking about disappointing seasons. That 2021 season coming out of COVID was the most disappointing. I mean, in 2022. They
Was
all
that
were.
where y'all had all of the one-score losses?
Was that the
Every
Georgia
single-
Southern?
That was 22. That was my senior year,
Okay.
unfortunately. But we did beat Iowa.
That's something.
Yeah.
That was the one shining moment
That's
of
something,
that
yeah.
of that year.
Scott Frost making a lot of headlines yesterday. Also, the Big 12 commissioner, Brett Yormark, making some interesting comments and kind of doubling down when it comes to the college football playoff system and the format and what we could get. Here is Brett Yormark yesterday and his remarks to the media and not holding back.
5-11 is fair. We want to earn it on the field. It might not be the best solution today for the Big 12, given your comments about AQs. But long term, knowing the progress we're making, the investments we're making, it's the right format for us. And I'm doubling down today on 5-11. And I know Jim Phillips will, and I'm sure some of the other conference commissioners will as well.
So he's in lockstep with Jim Phillips. They've already had this conversation.
Obviously.
Because he calls him by name. And then he goes, the other conference commissioners, but
Which I think we know he means maybe the one located here, not the one up north.
Yeah. But he's still not going to be as bold as to say Greg Sankey
No, he's not.
or the SEC's name.
No.
But
he's not.
we talked about it. I'm good. Can we just settle on it? Can we please?
I mean, it feels like we're
5-11,
doing the
let's do it.
tiebreaker thing with the SEC, and this one has bigger implications, I guess, or is for the whole sport. But it's the same thing. It's like, how are we still dragging our feet on this? Like, why can y'all not come to an agreement? And I think we all know, right? Within 2 years, they're probably going to want to change it anyway. So I don't think anybody's expecting this to be the way that it is for the next decade. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Just get it done, figure it out. And I don't see why it's such a big problem, because as we've talked about with 5-11, if you're the SEC or the Big Ten, you're looking at that. You should be. We can get 5 teams in the playoff this year. And I personally, I respect Yormar for putting his hand up and saying, hey, we think this is the best format, and we realize it probably doesn't benefit us right now, but we want it can be a more competitive conference to where it will benefit us one day. And so that's why we support it. I do respect him having that perspective on it.
More from day one of Big 12 Media Day as we continue. Insider Brian Edwards going to ask him about Scott Frost and UCF and over under win totals. Also some other teams. Get your pen and paper out. You need to know this. Brian was this next on Three Man Front. .45 here on Three Man Front. Landrum, Conrad, and Molly. Pat is back with us. SEC Media Days coming up next Monday. Our wall-to-wall coverage here on Jox. You don't want to miss that. If you're looking for a pontoon boat this summer, Poorhouse Branch Marina at Smith Lake is the only dealer on the lake to have the Avalon pontoons. Avalon pontoons, known for their luxury, comfort, and performance. You pair it with a more fuel-efficient engine on the water from Honda Marine. Poorhouse Branch Marina at Smith Lake also has the Tahoe pontoons ready for family fun. You get it today with in-house financing. See it all at PoorhouseBranchMarina.com. When it comes to money, making money, it's our Vegas insider, Brian Edwards, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Brian, how are you?
Doing great, guys. What's happening?
Man, the NBA the season's over. There's not a whole lot going on. We're just anticipating the start of the college football.
Looking at the UFC, and I watch media fighters fight some extra views. Might go sit by the pool in a little while.
Okay.
Sounds pretty nice.
Who was more disappointing in their return to where they once played or coached? Was it Scott Frost at Nebraska, or was it Dan Mullen at Florida? Florida as a coach, head coach, or was it Scott Frost at Nebraska based on expectations?
Oh, my gosh. It was way more disappointing for Frost. Mullen was the last year, which is
Alabama,
by far were by penalty those drives. Every single the game. We just couldn't get any stops, unfortunately.
No, and I realized that he did that. I was just saying based on expectations. I don't know. I think that Florida, the expectation was there that Dan Mullen was going to get them to an SEC championship. I don't know if anybody said that for Scott Frost in Nebraska. That's why I was curious.
No. We games last year. Leap and somehow went 11-2. 4 and 24 games were up. One minute just in 20. Yeah. Whole time at Nebraska, so.
We love it.
No, that's great, Brian. It's actually a perfect segue because we wanted to talk some win totals with Big 12 Media Days going on. So why don't we start with UCF, the former and now, I guess, new current home of Scott Frost. What are your expectations? What are you thinking?
Minus 120 is even. Seals nationally 3-6 at running the line, number 9 transfers, but only guys total 4 class, which was only number 9. They only returned. I initially marked them, but I've got them marked 4 game, that being and Mike 5.5.
And there's still some uncertainty with BYU quarterback Jake Retzlaff and his status. Is he going? Is he staying? What is he doing? I'm first that impacts his team the way that he has for BYU. How much does that change? Not necessarily where Vegas sees them, but where you see them.
Well, it's changed where Vegas sees them. On June 25th, it's 7.5 shaded. Looking at FanDuel, 50 if you it's +1. Got it maybe Monday on there, but if he stays, Gay McKay, freshman, and the brother who was true freshman in Seminoles.
He was
take that in my Seminoles. So, I don't go to the portal. It's or he had them 5 Arizona, Utah. I great win team, so I don't have a play on the win total.
Brian Edwards joining us here on the Higginbotham Hotline as he does each and every Wednesday at this time. All right, let's stay in the Big 12, Brian. The presumptive favorite, the Arizona State Sun Devils, they return. Scatterboo gone to the NFL, but Sam Levitt, their quarterback, coming back for the Sun Devils. Where are you sitting on ASU heading into the fall? For the Sun Devils, where are you sitting on ASU heading into the fall?
Yeah, they are going to be really good. Phil Steele's national unit rankings have them 7th at QB, receiver, 20 D-line, 5 special teams. They only lose 21. They're back on 2.6. Scatterboo for 6 TD rushing yards, 17 transfers. Now they did so. They need 8-3 with one swing game, and that being Texas Tech for 4-point favorite. So total was 8.5 money. Clean the over. I don't good. I just think games they saw at Iowa and non-con. I mean, I think they're considerably better than Colorado, but they're at Colorado on November 22nd. So that's those Phoenix guys going into altitude and cold weather, and Colorado's off a bye, and Arizona State is not. So I've got them winning that game, but that could be not an ideal spot with Colorado having 2 weeks to prepare. You're in altitude in the cold weather, and, you don't have 2 weeks to prepare. So there you go on ASU. I lean over, but I doubt I'll bet it.
All right, you briefly just mentioned them. Colorado, though, post Shedeur Sanders, post Travis Hunter. Over under win total. Over or under? You got
45 seconds?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Shaded. They don't have very much. I mean, he's very, but I don't like him throwing the ball.
No.
They might go with Julian Lewis, the true freshman who was in for spring, as the prize of the recruiting class. But I marked them 3-3 with 6 swing games, but now I've got them 5-6 with 1 swing game. Iowa State at home. I lean under.
Brian Edwards.
But, hey, I lean under, but it's minus 184, so I wouldn't do it.
Brian Edwards, always a pleasure. We continue 3-man front on Jox. 11 o'clock, 3-man front here on Jox, Landrum, Conrad, and Molly. Pat back with us on Monday. Heard from Pat. You heard from him this morning, you said.
Yes, he texted me at 5:30 this morning just to let us know, hey, if y'all need anything, I'll be around until about 10 o'clock, and then I'll be listening to you all on the way down. So hopefully Pat is listening to us right now.
Yeah.
Day 2, Big 12 Media Days happening. You've got Arizona. You got Colorado. It'll be interesting to hear from Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. Also, Houston, Kansas, Oklahoma State, and TCU, Utah, West Virginia. That will round it out. It's weird having that many teams.
Well, I was about to say, it's so many teams, so I guess you get less time with each of the coaches and each of the players, but yeah, I don't know. I'd be curious because I remember last year when you had Texas and Oklahoma people, that had been at Big 12 Media Days for their whole career, and now they're at SEC Media Days, and they were all just like, this is completely different animal than what you have at Big 12, just in terms of how it's run and how much attention it gets. It's a class of its own.
A lot going on there. You did have Arizona State, who is projected to be the top team out of the Big 12 once again this year. I thought it was very interesting. I don't know if you guys saw any of the Q&A with Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, with some of the members of the media yesterday. But there's one guy in particular, and he said, hey, what do you think about this compared to Vegas, having media days here instead of Vegas? And the guy said, well, I wasn't at Vegas. I can only remember. And he said, well, what do you think about this? And he said, well, it's great. He goes, is it big? And he's like, yeah, it's big. He's like, I like the stage. And he's like, oh, you like the stage. It was
kind of awkward. Yeah.
A little bit awkward, but he was trying to be personable with the media and trying to get feedback on the venue. It looks nice.
No, it does. But
window dressing is okay.
Anytime you are talking to media people and you're like, oh, is this better than when we were in Las Vegas doing this? I mean, they're probably going to say no.
Well, Kenny Dillingham, I love his transparency.
Oh, yeah.
This is a guy that I think is really good for college athletics, not just college football. But one Kenny Dillingham yesterday in asking about the difference this year versus last year.
What do you think's the biggest difference for you at Big 12 Media Day this year versus last year?
Yeah, people think we're good.
Yeah.
The best part about football, though, is nothing really matters what you did last year. You're trying to smell last year's roses, and then they die on you. So if you keep smelling them, you better plant new ones. And I think that's the biggest difference is people are trying to say good things instead of bad things. And I think that's the fun part, though.
I love that. Road to success is always under construction, Conrad.
It is. You can always be better.
Nick Saban said that.
It's a great line.
The sales analogy. Just imagine a brown lunch sack and just cut out the bottom. You just keep filling in the top.
I'd never heard that before, but that's good.
Well, yeah, if you visualize it, it actually makes sense.
It does make sense.
More from Kenny Dillingham on the preseason hype and what it means.
Been fun all day to have people tell you how good you guys are and how great of a season you're going to have this upcoming year.
It's absolutely miserable. I hate it. We're 0-0. We completely start over. That's the best part about sports is you start over, completely over, and you've got to get rejuvenized, remotivated to compete and work at the same year and even better. And that's the challenge for us is do we have that same passion? Do we have that same, some would say, piss and vinegar to go out there and compete at the level we did last year?
So there's Kenny Dillingham, Arizona State. I like him. How long do you think he's at Arizona State?
Ooh, I would think that, at this rate, he would be, if Arizona State has another year like they did last year or close to it, I would think he would be a big name on, the coaching carousel this offseason. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You think he ever ends up in the SEC?
Well, and that's an interesting question because, again, I hate going down this stuff because, I don't.
Sure, people that currently have jobs, but if it happened.
I feel like if you are on the Plains, that's somebody you would want to have a conversation with in the future.
Yeah. No people. Kenny Dillingham, he was there, of course, as offensive coordinator, kind of pseudo offensive coordinator. Yep. He worked with the quarterbacks. And
knows what the program's like, knows the expectations,
yep.
knows what it's like in the SEC, has a track record now, or is building a track record of success. So I love Kenny Dillingham. He's one of those coaches that, again, it's it's no nonsense. I don't care how good we are. We got to go and prove it again this year. We're a different team. We might have a lot of the same players, but
I liked what he said about the roses.
Yeah, about
you
the
can
roses.
smell last year's, but you got to plant new ones because those are going to die on you.
Yeah.
I like that.
Got a lot of energy.
He does.
And I love what he told the guys about the transfer portal last year and going into the college football playoff and just, hey, we need you right now and understand that you need a better situation. We'll try to get that taken care of, but for right now, can we have you?
Yeah. No, and that's the right attitude. And I even liked how he handled, going back before we got the house settlement stuff, and we were wondering, what's going to go on with walk-ons and some of these different roster spots. And he was one of the coaches that came out and said, like, I am actively telling players on my roster to go somewhere else in the portal because I don't want to tell you to stay here and then not have a spot for you. Like, you can just tell he loves the players, he loves the grind, he loves to put in the work, but he truly does have the best interest of his athletes in mind.
Yeah,
it seems.
and it appears in everything that we've heard, it seems like he's a guy that is going to tell players like it is.
Yes.
Whether you're a current player, whether you're a guy in the portal seeking a new home, or you're a high school prospect. Very interesting what our buddy Ross Dellinger reported yesterday from Big 12 Media Day.
Yeah, so Ross Dellinger got a chance to sit down with Kenny Dillingham actually and talk a little bit about just the new landscape of college football after the House settlement. And so this kind of goes back to as well some of the things we talked about earlier in the week potentially with Auburn and their approach to recruiting and how they're kind of taking a wait-and-see approach. So this was Kenny Dillingham to Ross Dellinger yesterday about the House settlement and the new landscape of college football. He said, quote, "We don't know the rules. The settlement passed, but who knows what Deloitte is going to clear. Until there is clarity, you're living in limbo." He also added, quote, "You're seeing a lot of people lie and promise fake things," end quote. And I think that's where that draws your attention, obviously, because everyone is trying to figure out what's going on now. But maybe if you're also an Auburn fan and you hear that and you go, okay, well, maybe some of what John Cohn and Hugh Freeze had to say, maybe there is maybe a little more legitimacy to that.
And they were a little bit more
appeared.
eloquent. Yes. They just said, I don't know how some of these other schools, they didn't say that, they're just flat out lying, but Kenny Dillingham kind of laying it out. And it's not just an SEC thing. This is all over college football. And it is hard to keep up with now the House settlement. But to hear, we don't really know what the rules are. We don't have clarity on some of these rules and what we can do and what we can't do.
So this is more from Ross Dellinger's article. So this doesn't name any specific coaches, but he writes, a similar theme emerged from the 8 head coaches at Big 12 Media Days on Tuesday. The Wild West, they say, remains wild. The finger pointing has already begun. Schools are making big enough contract offers to recruits that they cannot possibly remain under college football's new compensation cap, some coaches are saying. Others are guaranteeing third-party NIL deals as part of the total compensation package to athletes, something that is against the new revenue-sharing rules.
So we already got people cheating. My question is, if there are 8 guys acknowledging it yesterday, who are all these schools that they're pointing the finger at? You're not throwing rocks if you're living in a glass house.
No, you're not. You're not.
But it wouldn't surprise me if.
Yeah, maybe a couple of them are just trying to cover it up a little bit. And it also, and I'll add this too, that it says a few schools are doling out cash from their collectives to high school players in an attempt to induce them to commit to their programs, which is also breaking the rules of the new house.
I did hear that where there are allegations out there at certain schools that having a guy stay committed, he's getting a monthly.
We have heard that. Yeah, and we've also heard that some kids are getting paid to take official visits,
right,
before they actually commit to anything. But yeah, I guess we'll see. But I think you bring up a great point when you say, all right, if these are, the belief of essentially half the head coaches of the Big 12, and if they're ready to cast stones, are we casting stones at are they looking at Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, those programs that do have what seems like maybe more resources than others? Or is this just kind of a general comment on the state of, they're not, calling anybody out in particular. It's just kind of the general.
And when this was getting so much buzz on Monday, when we came back from the break, I maintain my stance that I said then. If you want to do it by the book, the right way, I'm all about it. If, from a morality standpoint, doing it ethically, I'm all about it. But if everybody else is operating in this gray area, then you better be dang sure that, number one, you're going to have to win games or nobody's going to care. But are you also counting on this new College Sports Commission to enforce the rules that they put forth? Because until any of these alleged schools that are operating this way get the hammer and suffer a significant penalty, which I'm still very skeptical that any of that ever happens, then are you kind of cheating yourself? And is it cheating if everybody else is operating that way?
Well, I was about to say,
are you doing your fan base you can label it how you want.
And how long does it get to the point, or take to get to the point where everyone's like, okay, maybe this stuff is technically illegal, but hey, if you don't say anything, I'm not going to say anything, and we'll just kind of cruise along the way that things, I guess, used to be done. And I think that's an expectation that some people have. Cincinnati's head coach, Scott Satterfield, he had a quote in the article as well. He said, quote, "I don't understand what rules everybody's playing by. The whole point of this was for us to all be playing by the same rules, but we are not. We are not playing by the same rules, particularly this past spring when everybody is apparently front loading where others are having to now spend from their revenue share cap."
Yeah, to the tune of what, $50 million with some of these front loaded rosters?
Like Texas Tech? Yeah.
Boy, he better win.
Yep.
But with that kind of money and those kind of players, you'll have plenty of coaches that will be looking at Lubbock like they're moving to, I don't know, name your favorite city.
Well, and I mean, you've seen it. We can,
it won't be called Baghdad anymore.
No, but clearly some coaches, Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss is one that has figured it out. I would say Dion, again, his first year wasn't great, but last year he clearly figured something out through the transfer portal. Like, we've seen coaches that you can win that way. And so if you're Texas Tech, you're spending a lot of money. There's no reason for you not to win. We saw what it did for them in softball.
Well, and if this new College Sports Commission or whatever, the enforcement arm, even if it doesn't happen where you have sanctions, if you have a bunch of kids that at the end of the day, when it comes to signing day, they don't have offers or they don't have something in writing, or the schools come back and they say, hey, by the way, we thought that this was going to be available. It's not, then that will work itself out.
I would think so. I would also, a question that I would have is, we've talked about a little bit, is with this new clearinghouse, right, of how long it's taking people to, I guess, get NIL deals approved. When are we going to have the first time that some kid, let's say whatever, school A is trying to recruit somebody and they're waiting, all right, well, we're waiting to get the clearinghouse to tell us how much money we have left by approving these deals first. And then some other school comes in and swoops up that recruit because, oh, well, we're not waiting in limbo right now trying to figure out what our financial situation is, so we can offer you this now. And it starts to become maybe a recruiting problem where you have teams that aren't able to fill certain spots because it's taking so long to get feedback. Because as we've already heard, I mean, it's taking upwards of 5 days for some of these people to get back if their deal is going to be approved or not. And I mean, we're not even talking about college football. We're talking about every college athlete trying to get these deals approved and having a small group of people being the ones approving all of them. That's a lot of work.
Well, in an attempt, and I appreciate it, to put up the guardrails, he agrees with that. We've also potentially created some landmines.
And I think we expected that.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to happen.
But for those of you wondering why the NCAA kicked this can down the road for so much, it's not going to stop anytime soon.
I'll say we have change, but according to the coaches, we don't actually have change.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
Who sues somebody today? That's the question. We'll get to your phone calls, 800-239-WJOF, the Wednesday edition of Three Man Front. 11:18 here on Three Man Front. Big 12 Media Day, day 2. Yesterday, a lot. Also reported yesterday, going back to the clearinghouse of more than 1,200 deals submitted. 1/3 were approved. Several remaining under a review. 80 denied that can be resubmitted. No deals have advanced past the second denial and into the, unlike some good old arbitration.
Well, the Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal, but don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Trane cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand for 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jox. So go and find a comfort specialist near you at Trane.com.
One of our great listeners, great callers, got to actually meet him in person for the first time yesterday when he showed up to Social Taco for Taco Tuesday. Lee, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, gentlemen and ladies, and hope y'all are doing well. But I had to call up and just say, Conrad, I cannot tell you how impressed I was with what you were able to do yesterday with those toothbrushes. Seeing that in person, I was amazed. And Landrum almost tossed his cookies, but that's okay.
I did.
I was very, very pleased that you did, and thank you. But in all seriousness, that was great meeting y'all. I just wanted to call and tell you how great. Social Taco's got great food, by the way. No, y'all never talk about that, but I was bunching off everybody's chips and salsa that I didn't even ask. I just went around and was eating from yours, and it was great to meet you and Don and Bama Hater and Steve, all of y'all. I always thought y'all might be AIs, but y'all are real people.
We are real people, and it's really, really outstanding food. We probably don't talk enough about it. I just assume it's a given. But, yeah, socialtaco.bar for more information. Lee, it was so great to meet you. Thanks for pulling your rig over and joining us yesterday, and we'd love to see you again.
Thank you. Well, you will soon, I promise. Well, that's not both a threat and a promise, I should say.
Sounds good. Lee, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Lee in Cincinnati.
I really appreciate that. Impressive was not the word my wife used, but I'm glad that Lee used it.
Disgusting is what she used.
Yeah,
she should have.
Yeah, she should have.
Appalling.
Yeah.
Vile.
I was say Molly.
Grotesque.
Molly
Grotesque.
will never look at me the same. I
won't.
I've figured out.
Vile, I think, is a good word.
I like that word, vile.
Vile.
Did your mom feel like she got her money's worth?
She did.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good.
Because my mom and dad were on their way home from Michigan. They were driving, and so they listened to the show.
People that,
and my mom was like, I need to donate.
Just joining in, because all they heard from Lee, if they don't know what happened yesterday, all they heard was, I was very impressed with what you were able to do with those toothbrushes. Is Conrad a juggler? Does Conrad play the drums with toothbrushes? No. Conrad took 2 random used toothbrushes, one of which was still wet in the bag, and he, for $226 and 2 beers,
said it tasted minty.
He used random people's toothbrushes and brushed his teeth for what seemed like to me 10 minutes.
It tasted like somebody brushed their teeth,
just stop,
but didn't wash the toothbrush afterwards, and they just put it in a bag. And
don't do it.
Gave it to me.
Don't. Okay.
That's it. We're done.
But
you can go check it out on YouTube.
You can find it on YouTube. Go to the number 3 Man Front. They're on X, and you can find the link or just go to YouTube. It's right there.
Conrad's Toothbrush Challenge.
During lunch.
I didn't know what else to name it.
No, that's good.
No, that's pretty accurate description of what it was, I guess. It was you could have been much harsher with the description.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm a man of
my
word.
You've had a lot of Conrad challenges on YouTube.
I know. We need a Molly one, right?
No. No. That's your thing.
Maybe one day.
That's not my thing.
Apparently.
We have been discussing a lot of Big 12 Media Day. Auburn's first opponent, the Baylor Bears. Dave Aranda and the Bears representing yesterday there in the state of Texas. Here is Dave Aranda on Baylor's confidence heading into the season.
There's a grounded confidence now, and it's a whole different way of being. Whereas prior, you're trying to prove it, you're trying to show it. Is it there? I believe it is, but is it there? And now to know that, we are that guy. I am that guy. I think that's a way, way different thing. And so leading from that space kind of can put you in more of an attack mode and more of a go take it mode. And so I think the hunger comes from that.
Dave Aranda, always just respected everything that I heard about him from his days when he was at LSU as a defensive coordinator, just a stand-up guy. His job was in jeopardy, if you remember. He had to kind of deplete his staff and retool it, and he was in trouble. But seems like he's in the driver's seat right now, and just about the time for Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers to open up on the road in Waco on a Friday night, facing a very talented quarterback.
It's just interesting with his career at Baylor because his first year he goes 2-7, then he goes 12-2, then he goes 6-7, then he goes 3-9, and now last year they go 8-5. So this is your chance to prove the consistency of what we've seen that Baylor can be under Dave Aranda, and we both know how big this game is for Auburn, obviously with all the recruiting stuff that's been going on, a little bit added pressure there, but equally a very massive game for the Baylor Bears.
Speaking of that game with the Auburn Tigers, here's Dave Aranda.
We're excited for that first game. I think that, it's going to take a really, really detailed and focused approach to be in some big moments in that game and to win those moments, put us in a position to win the game. I think there's got to be growth from where we were just, a couple months ago versus our bowl opponent to this one. And so we're going to be in some similar spots, and the outcome's got to be different. And so excited for that opportunity. I really feel that is being driven by knowing what the schedule is and kind of where the start of all of it is. And they're really focused on holding a really strong standard in just whatever the process is, whatever the day-to-day is up to bat.
Yeah, and for Auburn, for DJ Durkin and that defense, you're going to face Sawyer Robertson, who is he's on the list of Heisman.
He's very good.
Favorites. 28 touchdowns, 8 interceptions a year ago, over 3,000 yards, and a QBR, if you're interested, of 82.9, which is good for 7th. But Dave Aranda very confident.
As he should be. Again, I mean, you got to feel confident about your team coming off the type of season that they had last year. And, I know Auburn's going to feel confident going into the matchup, but I think if you're Baylor, right, you're looking at it and you're going, okay, well, obviously things haven't gone according to plan for them the last couple of years. Do we want to be that team that lets Auburn maybe get some momentum and potentially go on to have the season that many people think they can have? Or if you're Baylor, this would be getting a statement win against an SEC opponent to open up your season. And, maybe then that becomes a Baylor team that we start talking about as, maybe one of the contenders there in the Big 12 conference for a conference title and maybe a playoff spot.
You don't ever want to say that an opening game is going to define a team's season, but I would think for Auburn in particular, it could tell us a whole lot.
It means
put
a lot
too
to
much
the fan base.
to an opener. Yeah, but if you're going to get to 8 or 9 wins, if you're Hugh Freeze, I feel like this is a game you got to have. I mean, you like your chances better in Waco. You like them better College Station. You like them better in Waco. You like them better in Norman.
And again, no, that's a great point. Because again, let's say you lose that first game, right? And then let's say that your expectation is to go 9-3. Okay, well, let's say maybe you lose to Georgia, and we'll just say Alabama. I know people get mad about that, but let's just say that's it. At that point, you have to win every other game to meet your goals and your expectations. So it just kind of puts you behind the 8 ball. And I think if you lose that first game, you're certainly not, thinking college football playoff conversation or anything like that. But going 1-0 and starting off in non-conference play strong is going to be very, very important for Hugh Freeze because you mentioned that Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia are all very early in the schedule, and you don't want to be looking up halfway through the season and be 3-3.
Well, you look at LSU. They got another one of those tough openers. They got to go on the road to Clemson. And we know what openers have meant for Brian Kelly and LSU. Speaking of that, another Big 12 coach yesterday. Maybe this is bad news. If people are volunteering, Joey McGuire, new head coach, or not new head coach, but he's got a new roster. Head coach at Texas Tech. And some of the potential ideas he's throwing out there when it comes to conference battles. Listen to what he said about LSU.
I know you said it a couple of years ago to where we all of a sudden now have cross-conference games that we're playing each other. I think that'd be a great way to do it. I saw Brian Kelly say he'd love to play a Big 10 team. Hey, man, I would love to play LSU, home series, and whoever plays that, then, we look at the rankings and everything like that.
Sign me up.
I'm all for
He should have added as a season opener because that clearly has not choose favor for a number of years now. But no, I mean, hey, choose favor for a number of years now. But no, I mean, hey, I feel pretty good about LSU's chances in that game at least this year. But I feel pretty good about LSU's chances in that game at least this year. But give us more non-conference matchups.
Give us more college football news. One coach just got richer. He can keep the house. A contract extension has been announced. We'll tell you who it is and where next. Nice job, Molly. Great choreography. If the people only on Jox TV
could see Molly's dancing,
she's so talented. She got paid to go to school to dance at Nebraska, and she does not give our great Jox viewers any of the choreography.
She choreographs the dance for every bumper music song that we play every day.
Almost.
It's a lot of head bobbing, but you know.
Yeah. It's good.
It's a good vibe.
My buddy, he went and Vanilla Ice was, I don't know if he's still playing
I'm sure
college campuses.
I'm sure he does.
Performing, making appearances, but I had a good buddy of mine that picked him up at the airport.
Oh, like in a fraternity to come and bring him to the party?
Yeah,
I'm
it wasn't.
assuming?
Well, it wasn't fraternity, but yeah, to
Okay.
take him to the event. He
Nice
would
guy?
organize it. Said it was great. It was wonderful.
He seems like one of those people where I could see you would get the wrong impression of him, but I've always been like, he seems like he's probably really nice.
Same buddy also picked up the actor that played Michael Orr in the movie The Blind Side.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Interesting. What was
I got
what was
two-
that for?
I think maybe he was speaking at a church.
Okay. I was like, I'm imagining not a college party for him.
No. But yeah, I'll have to tell you some of the other details.
Okay.
But that just made me think of it.
Very interesting. Well, 205-834-9450. That's how you get on the courtesy GMC text line here on the show. And many of you have been chiming in on a variety of topics throughout the day so far.
They have. First, do want to pass along and pay it off that my buddy PJ Fleck, who I became really good friends with at the Final Four in Minneapolis several years ago, 2019 to be exact. Minnesota's very happy with the work that he's done in rowing the boat.
Can get to row the boat a little longer?
He is. New contract through 2030.
Rode the boat.
Yeah, I'm trying to see.
Skyuma.
See, and PJ Fleck, he's probably had offers to go other places.
He just seems like he likes it there.
But
Yeah.
And they seem happy with.
He's fit for the Gophers.
you know what? He's not going to get tugged away
No.
against his will.
He likes Minnesota.
Like Scott Frost.
Right.
Nope. He knows he's going to grow where he's planted, Molly.
He likes it cold.
That's right.
Yeah, so it looks like last year he made $6.7 million. So maybe got bumped up to 7, 8, something like that for the new extension. Perhaps that's
that's
you're making $7 million or more to go be the head coach of Minnesota. I mean, it's cold, but I'll take it. Can you give us a
Minnesota.
There we go.
Yeah, some hot dish.
I always
Some
love
hot dish.
that. I love that. But hey, I think PJ Fleck. I think we can all agree in terms of likable head coaches in college football.
yeah.
He's certainly he's up there.
He's one of those guys you're like, he's kind of cheesy, he's kind of quirky.
I'd
And
love
you
to
meet
drink
him,
a beer with him.
Aren't
you
they
meet him
all?
in person,
In their own way.
and I'm not kidding you. Within 10 minutes of talking to the man, I was like, I would play for you.
You're like, I get it.
I might run through a wall for you.
Yeah.
He's just very convincing.
No, and
infectious personality.
That's exactly what you want from a college football coach.
And Minnesota wants him at least for another 5-6 years.
Obviously so. So yeah, congratulations. Keep on rowing that boat, PJ.
Jock's text line is open. Corey texting in says Vanilla Ice was my first ever concert, Boutwell Auditorium.
Okay, that'd be cool.
Oh, I went to a Blues Traveler concert at Boutwell.
Was that your first concert?
No.
Oh, okay. What was the first concert you ever went to?
It was my first concert where I smelled the marijuana.
Yeah.
A lot of marijuana.
Yeah. Still happens.
Yeah, so I've been told. Would you say first concert?
Yeah, what was the first concert you ever went to?
I think it was out at Oak Mountain. And we just went out there. Didn't matter. It was just an event. Didn't matter who was playing.
You were just out there hanging out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really hanging
Well,
out. At that age, we're up to no good.
Well, yeah. That's what I meant by hanging out.
Yeah. I think my first concert, no kidding, was James Taylor.
That's not
at Oak Mountain.
You know what my first concert was? There was 3 artists in one. I was like
TLC?
7. No.
Red Hot
No,
Chili-
it was like 3 separate artists.
Oh, 3
but
separate.
Yes.
I was thinking the same
No,
thing. I
not
was like,
like-
wait, who has 3 in
It was a trio.
Not like a Destiny's Child. Well, that was before I was born.
What was it like? I don't know. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Creed, and Matchbox 20. Was that the 3?
No, not. Like,
You still want to guess? Okay.
Yes. I'm trying to think about your age group.
Are they still famous now?
Because I was going to go Debbie
One of
Gibson,
them is, like,
Tiffany, and
super
one
mega.
other.
Oh, is it Taylor Swift?
Yes. She was part of the group.
That's right. I remember you saying that.
All right, so it was Taylor Swift.
Before, obviously, she became like.
It was who sang? Was it Gretchen Wilson? Oh.
Shania Twain.
She was a country music singer, though.
Shania Twain.
I think she was on American Idol. But no, it wasn't Shania.
Carrie Underwood?
Carrie Underwood?
No. Was Kelly Pickler on American Idol?
Yeah.
It was her, yeah.
Yes.
I forgot.
Again, I was like 6.
Yeah.
So.
I totally forgot
But yeah,
about
it was
Kelly
Taylor,
Pickler.
Kelly Pickler, and
Who's the girl that sang I'm
Well,
a
the
redneck woman?
that's Gretchen Wilson, but it was a guy.
It is Gretchen.
It was
okay,
a
so
girl.
I had it right the first time.
Luke Bryan.
No.
I don't know.
He sings a lot of like his songs were really popular between like 2005 through like 2010 maybe.
Country music?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know the song Watching You?
Oh, yeah.
Rodney
I
Atkins.
was about to say it.
Yeah, it was the three
If
of
you're
them.
going through hell.
Yes, him. It was a great concert.
Okay. That's actually pretty good.
It was at the Arsenal.
moving.
And
in
this was
Huntsville.
before Taylor Swift's first album, I guess.
This was like after her debut album.
So
came
people
out.
knew who she was,
They
but she
knew who she was,
wasn't
but she
who
like this
she
was
is
before
now.
like Love Story.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Like
That's
You
pretty cool.
Belong with Me, before she became like really big.
Yeah, very cool.
So yeah, that was my first ever concert.
That's a pretty good one.
I think your computer, Molly, has infected mine.
Oh no.
It's just
Is yours?
yeah.
Here.
Go ahead.
Let's see. We have.
That's why we have a co-pilot.
That's right. That's why we
That's
have
exactly
multiple open at the same time. Oh, let's see. Oh, this one's fun. Somebody says, when it comes to Auburn, Conrad needs to keep his Alabama mouth shut. He has no opinion on all things Auburn.
That's right.
Sorry, I offended you by saying positive things about Auburn today.
Please don't do that.
I won't. I will not. I will not.
Positive or negative? Nothing. You be Switzerland.
Yeah, I will. I will be Switzerland. Someone sent in, note to self, no longer eating while listening to this show.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen.
That was bad.
You never know what was going to happen. FJF, Fat Joe, he texted in. He says, Conrad, I thought it was awesome. And like I said, if I didn't have so many pickups I had to do, and I was down there for $100 after you had gotten done using, wait. Oh, he's saying about the toothbrush thing. He's saying if I had been able to get there after you were done, I would have used the toothbrushes for an additional $100.
You know what, Fat Joe? I knew you were a sicko too.
I appreciate that, Fat Joe. I'm pretty good hygiene.
You're a good guy, and so is Conrad, but you're both sickos.
Yep, that's fair. Can't really argue with that. Posey chimes in, trying to build teams to stay competitive. How bad will this affect money for facilities on campus? And I think if I'm not mistaken, Landrum, this is where you've seen, I know there were a couple of universities that had, I guess, been in contact with a private equity group about loans that would essentially be used for new facilities on campus because of the new house settlement. That money is going to have to go to the players, a lot of it. And so this is kind of a way that people are working to still be able to make the new facilities. But yeah, Posey, I mean, I think that's certainly something that's going to affect a lot of these programs.
Can I jump in here and take the wheel for this next one?
Absolutely.
JJ sends in this text. He says, hey, y'all. So I've been rebuilding a pier on the Warrior River. Yesterday, I was finalizing that project and took the family out there to swim and fish. So my fiance had to listen to your show, and now she sees why I'm so drawn to y'all. By the way, that job was for my attorney, Gregory C. Starkey, by your referral. God is great, and so are y'all. Thanks for adding to a great day yesterday. Thank you, JJ.
That's very sweet.
I love that.
Always appreciate those kind words.
Go ahead.
Let's see.
Get to the ones that are critical and dirty.
Yeah, that's right. Somebody asked, is Molly, do you like bowling? Just randomly.
I like Wii bowling, but I'm terrible at real bowling.
Do you use the bumpers?
I have to.
Okay. But do you enjoy it when you...
Yeah.
Would
When
you like to bowl better?
Yes.
I'm offering.
I'm not kidding, and I cannot believe I'm admitting this. The last time I went bowling, I think was my freshman year at college. So this was like 6 years ago. I think I bowled like a 43. Like I did that bad because I kept getting in the gutter.
No,
it's hard.
I don't have good aim.
There's a lot of people like you.
That's why I use the shower, because I don't have good aim.
Well, yeah.
We have somebody chiming in from the state of North Carolina.
That's disgusting.
Sorry, JJ, if your fiance is listening again today. Somebody from North Carolina. And Molly, you can help answer this. So 3-part question. First off, who was the last coach to actually win at Nebraska, and what happened to them? Who would you say was the last coach that you would look at and go, that was a good head coach?
I'm pretty sure. Oh, who was it? I always get them all mixed up. I know they fired, I think it was Frank Solich
Mhm.
after a couple of 9-win seasons. And then they fired Mike Riley. See, I always get them confused if it
Callahan.
was Bo Pelini before Mike Riley or if it was Mike Riley before Bo Pelini. But I think it was Bo Pelini, then Mike Riley, then Scott Frost.
When was
but I
Callahan?
could be wrong.
That is correct.
He was before, too.
That's the.
Okay.
You were right. It
That's
was
the
Bo
order.
Pelini, then Riley.
Again,
then
they all
Frost.
just kind of blend together.
In hindsight, Bo Pelini wasn't that bad.
No, he wasn't. But the expectation back then at Nebraska.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He
This
re-
was,
you
this was PF. This was
You kept
pre-Frost.
chasing glory.
Yes.
Bo Pelini, this is his record every year at Nebraska. I know Molly knows this. 9-4, 10-4, 10-4, 9-4, 10-4, 9-4, 9-3.
Yep. He was another one that they fired for 9-win season. Now, I would do anything for a 9-win
Oh
season.
my gosh. You do that. Just look at PJ Fleck. We just talked about a
Right.
contract extension. Do that every year at some schools.
And I would be happy with that. But again, for like the older Nebraska fans that were around for the 90s, they have very high expectations.
I think some programs now have come to grips with, you know what? It could be a lot worse. Be careful what you ask for.
It very much could.
Well, and that's the situation we look at, and I think that's what Mike brought up yesterday when we were talking about the Brian Kelly stuff. Is we understand why you're frustrated with Brian Kelly, but I asked the same question when they got rid of Les Miles: is there a coach out there right now that you can bring in that's better than what you have? And that's a question for them to answer themselves. But finishing up that text, they went on to add, they said, so you're telling me that you wouldn't take a job like the Nebraska job for the kind of money he was offered, even if it wasn't an ideal situation? How much pressure did he maybe have from friends, alumni, etc., to take the job? He also adds, don't you think it was a little bit of a jab at UCF for hiring him back after acknowledging that he decided to leave them, even though he was happy there?
Absolutely. On the second part of that, Molly, I mean, I'm just assuming that he had a lot of pressure to come back and to save the program.
Oh, I'm sure there was a lot of pressure. And if you don't want to take it, then that's ultimately your choice.
When mama calls, it's hard to say no.
Well, it's after the fact, it's easy to reflect. And after the fact, it's easy to reflect and
hindsight's
Well,
always
see,
2020.
that
a
thing.
miserable failure. and to
Hindsight's
say,
always
well, I knew
2020.
I
In the
shouldn't have
moment, it
taken
could have been different, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to say that now.
Lots more of your tech we'll get to. Also, the phone lines are open. We got more coverage from Big 12 Media Day. What is Deion Sanders going to tell the media? What are the expectations there? And some other college football news and notes. It's a Wednesday. We're three-man front and Jox. Down to my last match. Down to my last match. Come on, Connor, you.
Do you not know this song?
Not yet.
I'm incriminating myself. I did see him in concert. I cannot remember where I saw him in concert.
This is Rodney Atkins?
Yeah.
I
do love the Watching You song.
And I think he sang Farmer's Daughter too. That's another good one.
Oh, I've heard this song before.
I remember like sitting in the back of the car, my parents picking me up from kindergarten and me singing this.
Yeah, this sounds like something my mom listened to when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I've heard this before. I'm not a big country guy. I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
Not my forte.
This three-man front on this Wednesday, if you're joining us, we do have comments that we will get to from Big 12 Media Day 2. Coach Gundy, Oklahoma State. He's always colorful and worth the quote, the comment.
Always.
Coach Prime, Colorado, going to be represented today. They do 8 on Monday. We heard some from Kenny Dillingham, Joey McGuire, Dave Aranda, and others from yesterday. And we'll also hear from other coaches today. We got SEC Media Days coming up next week. The list of attendees, in case you missed that, for Alabama, Conrad, Kalen DeBoer is not going to be joined by a quarterback this year.
No, he is not. You're going to have 2 defensive players and 1 lineman. So you're going to have Deontay Lawson, the linebacker, Tim Keenan on the defensive line, and then Caden Proctor off the offensive line will be your Alabama representatives in Atlanta.
And for the Auburn Tigers,
you will have the new quarterback, Jackson Arnold.
Yep. You got Keldrick Fault, and you got Connor Lew.
Yep. And I think, again, for a lot of Auburn fans, that's probably who you would have picked. So I don't think there's any complaints about those guys. And as always, just interesting to get to meet them and hear about how their offseason's going. And you just get different perspectives on things.
A lot of perspectives from our great Jox listeners on the text line, 205-834-9450. And someone going back to Hugh Freeze saying no one has gotten more out of getting 2 wins over Nick Saban than Hugh Freeze.
Probably fair.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, I would have to imagine that was a big part of why you brought him over there. But, I mean, again, to be fair, there's not a lot of coaches in their history that had multiple wins over Nick Saban. So, I mean, yes, we can make fun of it and go, oh, you hired a guy just so he could beat Nick Saban, and that's the only reason you hired him. That's not the only reason they hired him. I think we can all agree he's a very good offensive mind. Just some things need to be tightened up.
Happy birthday to the number 1 caller to get under all the Bama fans' skin and most Jox hosts. That was sent by Bama Hater. Bama Hater, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. It was good to see you
happy
yesterday.
Birthday, yeah.
Glad he got to make it out to a social taco and watch me do disgusting things.
I was watching him the whole time. Well, when I wasn't dry heaving.
He did not look very
I didn't dry heave as much as I did during your fish challenge, stinky fish.
That was the worst.
Oh,
that one was bad.
I pulled an oblique.
On the fish one?
That was vile.
Yeah.
You were dry heaving after that.
No, that was bad. And then it becomes like a chain reaction and I can't stop.
Yeah.
And that day in particular, because Coach Bill Clark, who was standing beside me, there was a little bit of concern on his face.
Well, so are you the kind of person that if you see let's say you see somebody get sick, it's going to make you sick?
No doubt.
Yeah. I know a lot of people like that.
Yep. Smell, sight, nope. Even talking about it right now.
Getting you a little choked up.
I got a weak stomach.
I do too.
That's all right.
When it comes to stuff like that.
I think most people have a weak stomach when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, waste or anything that yeah.
Yeah.
Now blood, I'm not going to throw up.
See, I'm the opposite. I would much rather see someone get sick than like an open wound or something like that.
I can't do any of that stuff.
No. Well, and even like you are hearing about it because some of the things that Paige will come home and tell me from working at a hospital.
It'll give me
I'm
like the
just
chills, but I don't get nauseous where I want to throw up. like bone protruding through skin.
Ugh.
Not a big fan.
Once again, happy lunchtime to everyone.
Hey, someone did say earlier, don't eat and listen to the show.
Some days.
Some days.
Drake said you should have used a cap of Clorox with a full glass of water to rinse.
I was about to say, if I just swish the Clorox around in my mouth, that's probably not too dangerous, right?
No. There was a theory at one time that it killed COVID. Not if you consumed it, but.
Oh, if you.
Well, as somebody. Yeah. Shouldn't have brought that up. Dang it. Wow. A lot of Nebraska coming in.
Andrew just texted and said, well, I was eating my lunch, ... Not
Sorry.
anymore.
Sorry.
Sorry.
All right. More on what Scott Frost said, if you missed that. And more from Big 12 Media Day as we continue the Wednesday edition. 3-man front right here on Jox, JoxFM.com, the Jox app, and wherever you find people stream. Hello, Mobile. Straight up noon here on 3-Man Front, right here on Jox. Appreciate it, AB, if you're listening on the app, if you're watching us on Jox TV there via YouTube. We appreciate you joining us. Landrum Roberts, Conrad Van Order, Molly Robinson, Pat is back with us Monday, live from Atlanta, SEC Media Days. We'll check back in what's going on in Texas with day 2, the final day of Big 12 Media Day. Some other news and notes we need to get to. Men's basketball, I think it's really good for our state. We've discussed it here on the show. We got Ballin and Boutwell.
Oh, yeah.
We got Alabama and Boutwell last year, but it's going to include other teams from our great state this year. In addition to Alabama, is they're going to take on the Florida State Seminoles. You've got Auburn men's basketball is going to play an exhibition game there at Boutwell as they'll take on Oklahoma State October 15th at 7 o'clock. Other games, you got Alabama A&M and Samford. They're on October the 13th. And, of course, Alabama facing Florida State on the 16th. And the women's team's going to also compete there at Boutwell.
Yes, in the Alabama-Florida State series. So, yeah, that's 3 days of really good basketball here in the city of Birmingham in October. I know we're, still getting ready for college football season, but never too early to look ahead to what's become really exciting programs, not just Alabama and Auburn, but also Samford and what they've done and out welcoming a new head coach after Bucky left for Texas A&M. And I looked this morning, and for the Alabama and Auburn men's game, so Alabama, Florida State, Oklahoma State, and Auburn, $65 seems to be the get-in price. Now, you can obviously go up if you want to get, closer to the court, obviously, but $65 seems to be the starting point for those. And then for the Samford game, it looked like $25 was going to be the starting price there. So you can go ahead and get your tickets now at Ballin, Ballin, ballininboutwell.com. You can go get tickets today.
The Braves lose 10-1 to the West Sacramento Athletics, whatever they're called now. They lose 10-1. They've lost 5 in a row, 7 of 8. Braves historically bad, probably based on expectations and roster, the most disappointing season that I can remember. So the question is, what do they do at not only the deadline, what do they do at the end of the season? Ronald Acuna was out because of back soreness, tightness, whatever that is. You had Matt Olson and Austin Riley. I guess they would be the bright spots for the Braves, but other pieces in addition to injuries just haven't been there. Question is, with the farm system and kind of being in the shape that it is, this is not the farm system of old when you had John Sherholtz and some others, and you had a lot of prospects, not only pitching prospects, but a lot of guys with bats that can play the field. It's not there. It's way down the list when it comes to Major League Baseball farm systems. What they choose to do. Any ideas, Conrad? Molly, your team's on top. I'd take ideas from you guys. What do you do if you're the Braves? You just hope these guys, another year goes by, they get longer in the tooth and they get better?
It's such a difficult it's a really difficult decision to be in, right? Because you can look at what's maybe the best decision for the long-term future of the organization, but are you willing to do, make a move that's probably going to be incredibly unpopular with the fan base, whether that is moving an Austin Riley or, getting rid of a Chris Sale who has 1 year left on his deal, even though he's going to be injured for a lot of the year. I know Pat brought up the idea the other day of, kicking the rocks on potentially a Ronald Acuna trade. If that's something you could do and get a big haul like a Juan Soto deal from the Nationals a couple of years ago, again, we've talked about a lot. I think Sean Murphy, get rid of him. I think Albies would be another one that I would look at. Azuna, obviously, because
what are you
he's
doing
in
with
a
Michael
contract
Harris?
year.
Checking his vision, hoping that he improves. He's so good in the field. But he is, this year, a lot of them are, liability at the plate. The Braves are 24th in runs scored.
And that's the problem, is you can have one Michael Harris on your team, right? You can have a guy that's a defensive savant that's going to go hit 225 for you. Now, granted, he's not getting on base and walking, which is a big problem too because of his speed. That's, very impactful if he can just get on the base paths. But, do you hope that he has another turnaround? I guess this slump's bigger than the one last year where he had a rough start to the year and then ended up having actually a pretty good season from what I remember.
I disagree with taking one of the few things, and that's going to get butts in the seats, and you're going to see attendance start to drop after the All-Star break.
You won't.
With Ronald Acuna. I think Matt Olson, he fits. You don't get rid of him. Austin Riley, you're not going to get rid of him. He's certainly a fan favorite. And then it comes to, all right, some of these other guys, what can you get in return? And I think it's going to just have to be a combination of maybe it's a guy that he's got an option in his contract wherever he may be. Maybe a guy that has had better years, but he's still got some left in the tank. A combination of that and maybe some young talent that you're able to pick up. You do have the draft that's coming up, right?
Yeah, that's on Sunday.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of their approach. That's all. That helps me therapeutically.
Yeah, well, and it's just, and again, I feel bad for you. I feel bad for Braves fans because you're in a spot where, you're not looking at the deadline of, okay, well, let's go make 2 or 3 moves, and then that can turn this thing around. I think we're well past that point, and it's not a fun spot to be in. I will tell you this, though. I did see I think it was on ESPN. I can't remember where I saw it this morning. But there was a trade possibility or a connection made for Ozzie Albies and potentially my team, the New York Yankees. I will just say I would not support that move, but that is something that has been thrown out there as a potential suitor. I didn't see any names. It was just in terms of if Ozzie Albies was on the move, what are some teams that would be in there? I don't think he would be part of the deal.
Okay.
If you want to pay Giancarlo Stanton $40 million for the next 2 years, I think we would be happy to make that switch, though.
Ozzie, he's going to be fine if you guys can convince him to use a lighter bat. He's still using the heavy bat, and he's still about a half second behind some pitches.
Well, and the problem with the Yankees is we have a all-star second baseman in Jazz Chisholm, who is not playing second base for us because of the fact that we never got a third baseman this offseason. So he's been playing out of position, and so now they want to go and trade for a second baseman. When you have an all-star second baseman, just go trade for a third baseman. I don't understand that, but maybe that's, another guy that you could get a little something in return. And, you hope, with a guy like Ozuna, right? If that's somebody you're looking to move that, a Dodgers, a Tigers, a team that's looking at, hey, we're trying to win this season right now. We think we have a really good shot at winning a championship. And maybe you're able to get a little more of a return on investment than you would from some other programs or organizations just because of that.
We haven't been in this situation as Braves fans very often.
No.
Even where you saw a glimmer of hope, you can go back to the 21 season. I go back to even 2017 when Braves only won 72 games. You were still 42 and 45 at the break.
Well, I think
that ain't happening
based on what I've heard from you, I think a lot of it maybe is just they don't look like a good team, right? Like watching them, the body language, all of that.
And they really look like they didn't care. Granted, you have a 20-year-old pitcher out there, Didier Fuentes, who got rocked.
Where are you on? Because I know you've been optimistic about him. Again, a young guy that's probably getting thrown into the fire a little sooner than you would have hoped for.
I'm not ready to throw him out to the wolves, but he Bryce Elder, you name some of these guys. With all due respect, in a spot start, he might be able to. But these, you got guys that should be probably pitching at the AAA level.
I was about to say you got a lot of number 5 starters that you're having to fill into your 2, 3, 4, 5.
I hope that answered your question, Jake. We appreciate the text.
I did want to ask you quickly because I know Chris Sale. He's going to be out for a while, right, with the rib thing. Yeah. What about Schwelly? Is there a hope that he could be back sooner than Chris Sale?
So they're going to reevaluate in August, but with a fracture in the elbow.
Well, and if the season goes the way it is, you're not going to rush him back.
No.
For that.
No, Swelly is the future, and he's good for the franchise. And I met him, and Molly did too, kind of.
No, I was excited when y'all called him up.
Yeah,
y'all are besties.
Well, duh.
I got him to send Molly a video.
You did.
Yep.
I sent to all my friends.
Then he fractured his elbow. Just saying.
Yeah.
So Molly's bad luck for the Braves. Is that what we're saying?
No, I'm blaming Scott
Frost. I wouldn't say that.
I'm
It's all Scott Frost's fault.
In case you missed it, Scott Frost yesterday with his sit down with Chris Vanini, and this has got a lot of attention and drawn the ire not only of Nebraska fans, but some UCF fans and college football fans alike.
Yes. So you had yesterday where, and again, this is just kind of how media days go sometimes, right? You get these, I guess, little snippets of something somebody will say in passing with another media member. So Scott Frost was asked what he learned from his time at Nebraska, which did not go particularly well. His response was, quote, "Don't take the wrong job." He followed that up by saying, "I said I wouldn't leave UCF unless it was for some place you could win a national championship. I got tugged in a direction to try to help my alma mater and didn't really want to do it. It wasn't a good move. I'm lucky to get back to a place where I was a lot happier." End of quote.
So did he think?
So you're saying you thought you could win a national championship at Nebraska?
There you go.
That's my takeaway from that.
That is a takeaway that you could have.
Go Big Red.
Or was he saying, I'd always said I wouldn't leave it, but then this job came along and I knew I couldn't win one there, but you guys were pulling on the heartstrings, and now.
Well, he got a taste of the good life in 2017 at UCF. He said, imagine if we really won a national championship.
But this is a prime example of why if you were held in high regard at a school that you played at, don't go coach there. Find every excuse or every reason not to go coach there. Mike Shula is an example. It's most of the time it's never going to end well.
I was about to say,
you're coming back and you're being honored at halftime and waving to the crowd and going through the Walk of Champions and all of that jazz. It's typically not going to end well, and you're going to have sour grapes, or it's going to be vice versa or mutual.
I was about to say, for every Kirby Smart, there's how many examples of where that has not.
Kirby Smart would be the example.
I was about to say, people look at that and go, well, look at how great he's done. I said, well, I think we can also agree Kirby Smart is, kind of a once in a generation kind of like he's just a really good coach. He could probably have success anywhere, but yeah, it doesn't work out for a lot of these guys. And like you said, and like we were talking about with Molly earlier, it's okay. Maybe people still are a little soured about how you ended things as a head coach, but you have his memories as a player and all the great things he did for that program as a player. But then you make these kinds of comments, and I feel like that good sentiment, whatever it was, it's left. Yeah, it's gone now.
It's gone.
Well, the success that he had
down the drain.
The success that UCF had while Scott Frost was there, and it was impressive, but albeit he was not playing in the Big 12.
No.
Now we have the transfer portal era and NIL and what that potentially looks like. As much as I'm sure UCF fans hope that he can almost replicate what he did, how many times does a guy come back in his second stint and have equal to or more success than he did in the first run?
That's
Mac Brown.
I was about to say Mac Brown's the last one you would
Brown
think
at
of.
North Carolina, but was that? Did
They
you
were
say that was
okay.
equal
No,
to
they were fine.
prior him leaving and going for Texas,
No.
going to Texas?
No. So let me ask you this, Molly. So let's say again, let's rewind the clock to last football season. Let's say Nebraska was going to honor, Scott Frost or one of the teams that he played for.
The coldest, chilliest.
The coldest, chilliest. Last season,
So
if you
close.
had an event, let's say at halftime at Husker Stadium for Scott Frost, do you think that generally he would get booed, cheered? What would the response be from the fans?
Probably mixed, because I do think you still have.
Is this too recent?
I think it's still too recent, but I do think you still have some fans, kind of like me, like are good people, and they're I don't like to boo people.
You're just ready
you
to
guys.
move on. Yeah, you're just
right.
like the
I'm
past
just
is the
ready
past.
to I'm over it.
And
I
so
think most Nebraska fans share the same sentiment that I do. Like in a perfect world, in that interview, Scott Frost should have said, it was great. It didn't work out. It is what it is. I'm ready to move on.
I wish things had gone better.
Exactly.
I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I still have a lot of respect and a lot of love for the people
There's a
there and the
million
time that
other
I
ways you
spent
could have
in
gone about
Lincoln.
it.
So you don't think they're going to invite him back for anything in the near future?
No.
I wouldn't.
That'd be a big no.
Wouldn't think so either. That's a tough.
Prior to the comment,
bridge to burn.
would he have been invited out?
Probably not.
So you
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably
well, all right.
not.
So he knew that there was no going back anyways. Yeah. It's just very sad though that
Well, and I mean,
place where you were revered as a player.
Mm-hmm.
That's why always keep that. Always keep that. Don't.
that's the one bridge you don't want to burn. I feel like.
No.
No.
Because I mean, does he have kids?
Yeah, he has young kids.
See, I'm like, I don't know. I guess I look at it from wouldn't you want to be able to go back with your kids one day and say, hey, look, I understand people are going to make comments about me as a coach, but everything I did as a player, like this
Right,
is what
yeah.
made me Scott Frost was this university and this football program, and I want to share that with my kids and my grandkids hopefully one day. And who knows? All wounds.
Remember
but
his
at least
house
right
got
now-
broken into there in Lincoln multiple times.
Oh, it actually got broken into, unlike what Lincoln Riley said.
I don't remember that, but I believe you.
Yeah, Scott Frost. Mm-hmm.
I don't know where he lived in Lincoln, but
Was it like disgruntled fans or just?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember the details of the story, but I do remember that seeing a report that he had reported a break-in.
Oh.
They stole his playbook, maybe.
Maybe so. Yeah, you're
Stole
right.
his edge, his swagger.
You're right. Yeah, it says 2 suspects, ages 16 and 20, arrested in burglary of memorabilia from the home of Nebraska head coach Scott Frost.
when was that?
2018.
Did they take
Okay.
all of his UCF stuff?
It says
That was that was his first year.
It says multiple pairs of shoes, helmets, and other pieces of athletic memorabilia were stolen.
That was before I was in school, so I don't remember that.
Where was Pat Smith on that day? Oh, you said they already arrested the people.
Yeah,
you said helmets. That'd be some cool helmets. I bet he's got a good collection.
I'm sure he does.
I'm sure he was. Yeah. Sorry, Molly.
In related news, I did just realize that I was reading the other day with Joe Burrow, his house that got broken into. And you know the Batmobile, the full functioning Batmobile that he was set to purchase, and it was like $3 million retail.
Yeah.
He decided not to do it, and he's still
lame.
on the fence because now everybody knows where he lives. If he's going to stay in the house, or they're going to sell it.
That's a
$7.5 million.
Oh yeah, I forgot about it. It was during a football game. Like while he was playing, somebody broke into his house, and it looks like they got all of his stuff back though.
I mean, I hate it, and I hate a thief, but
yeah.
Why not do it when he's in the middle of a game?
Probably the best time to do it.
Probably the best time to do it.
Unfortunately, yeah.
It's kind of like when you got a football game in this state, you know, when you can probably speed on the highways.
Well, that was like, I don't know, maybe it was different for y'all growing up, but I don't know if y'all did pranks and stuff. I don't know if y'all did pranks and stuff when you're in high school during homecoming week with the other classes. Like when we were senior, when you're in high school during homecoming week with the other classes. Like when we were senior, we would mess with the junior class and things like that. And that was when you always did a game on homecoming if you didn't play. That's when did all the game on homecoming if you didn't play. That's when you did all the pranks because everyone's at the football game.
We did not do that.
Never got caught. Out for those people.
Golly, just knowing you and some of the things that you're into, what you do for a prank.
Well, for $100, I'll tell you.
I bet you will. We'll continue 3-man front on this Wednesday on Jox.
12:20, welcome into the Wednesday edition of Three Man Front. Conrad Landrum and Molly here with you until 2 o'clock. Pat Smith back with us on Monday when we are live from Atlanta, Georgia for SEC Media Days.
This is the first thing I've eaten since your toothbrush thing.
Well, I hope you can get it down and keep it down. I'm glad to know that your metabolism have recovered from yesterday. So we've been spending a lot of time today, if you're just now joining us. Big 12 Media Days going on yesterday. Some interesting comments from Scott Frost as well as Brett Yormark and others. We have big day 2 going on right now. Still waiting to hear from Deion Sanders, what he'll say about Colorado this upcoming year. We've already heard a little bit from Mike Gundy that we can get into as well. And of course, text line always open, 205-834-9450 if you want to chime in on anything that we've been discussing. But one thing, Landrum, that has become a big part of the narrative around recruiting here in the state of Alabama lately. We've talked a lot about Auburn and some of the concerns from their fan base. And then you have Alabama that's been recruiting at a very high level now for the past couple of weeks. And a sentiment that you've probably seen on social media, if you were on social media, from a lot of other fan bases, is that Alabama is recruiting at a high level because of Nick Saban still. And the belief that Nick Saban is still, whether it's behind the scenes or some of the pictures that have come out of him with recruits, that he is ultimately responsible for a lot of the success that they're having right now. So our friend Nick Kelly from AL.com, frequent visitor here on the program, he did a deep dive today with a new article that's up right now at AL.com on setting the record straight on Nick Saban's involvement with Alabama recruiting. So if you remember a few weeks ago, when very unfortunate that Keelan Russell had his sister who passed away, and there was a funeral in Mississippi, and you saw a number of players and coaches, including Kalen DeBoer of the Alabama Crimson Tide, there in attendance, you still had a big recruiting weekend that weekend. And so Nick Saban stepped in Tuscaloosa and met with a lot of these recruits. And so that kind of started the narrative of, oh, that's why Alabama's landing all these guys, because Nick Saban's actually the one recruiting. This isn't Kalen DeBoer and his staff that are putting in the work. Granted, you have had mothers of Xavier Griffin and some other Edmonds, the Jordan Edmonds, the other 5-star defensive back. Their parents have both come out and said, hey, we like Nick Saban. We maybe met him one time, but we were recruited by Kalen DeBoer and his staff, and that's ultimately why we committed to Alabama. So this is from Nick Kelly's article. He writes, AL.com spoke with several people familiar with Alabama's recruiting behind the scenes and those aware of Saban's post-coaching life. The consensus among them was that Saban's involvement in the last official visit weekend was a one-off and not a regular occurrence. It says 3 in-state recruits met with Nick Saban in his office that weekend at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Those players were Xavier Crowell, Cedarian Morgan, 2 guys that have already committed, and Anthony Tank Jones, who is still uncommitted, but has Alabama in his final 3. And so those were the guys that Nick Saban met with. It says multiple people described it as something special for 3 local guys during a weekend that Nick Saban happened to be in town. It was more like how some recruits for other Alabama programs used to meet Nick Saban on visits when still coaching. For example, basketball recruits being brought by his office on their visits with Nate Oates and the basketball team. The notion of Saban being a closer or an ace in the hole for Alabama football in retirement was shot down by multiple sources.
Yeah, I think it's a lazy take. First of all, Nick Saban, we know, outstanding recruiter in his time at Alabama. Alabama prior to Nick Saban, they're in the SEC. There's a lot to offer at Alabama. All right. Do I think Nick Saban could possibly help in a situation like that?
Absolutely.
Sure. And you're going to use him if he's available and he agrees to do it. But
let's not forget you're paying him $500,000 a year still.
Yeah, and interesting too, and I'm not saying this, but this goes for most of, whether it's Alabama, whether it's Auburn, whether it's Ole Miss. Ultimately, for a lot of these kids, it is a financial decision. It is a business decision, and it does all come down to, contractually, what does that contract look like? I'm not saying for all of them that's the end-all, be-all, but you certainly got to be competitive. But let's not slight Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer, everything about him, not only his record and what he was able to do at Washington, but his brief time. He seems like a guy that I would want to play for. Now, certain personalities don't mix. Some people, maybe you'd prefer to have more of that Nick Saban type of personality, which I would have loved to have played for Nick Saban too. But I could see myself playing for a guy like Kalen DeBoer in the way that he runs his program. So I think that's a little bit of a lazy take, or it's easy to say, well, they're doing this just because of Nick Saban and not giving Kalen DeBoer, and you got to give Courtney Morgan credit too for what they've been able to do in year 2.
No, yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because Courtney Morgan has been an integral part of it. I think having Ryan Grubb on the staff probably doesn't hurt things.
Ryan Grubb certainly helps things on the offensive side of the
ball. And
ball.
as you mentioned, right, different players respond to different personalities. And so you had Kalen DeBoer, which I think we all agree he seems like a very nice guy, very personable guy, but he's not, the rah-rah, get in your face, scream at you kind of motivational coach that maybe Nick Saban was.
He has those guys on his staff, by the way.
Ryan Grubb and Jamarcus Shepard being the two I think that would be at the forefront of that. And I think that has certainly helped. But a couple of other notes from this article from Nick Kelly. So continuing on with the visits with Sedarian Morgan, E.J. Crowell, and Tank Jones with Nick Saban, he goes on to say those 3 meetings in his office are the only recruiting involvement that Nick Saban has had up to that point, according to multiple sources. It falls in line with Nick Saban's approach to his presence around the program in retirement, as he remains on payroll at about $500,000 a year. He is available, but he isn't hovering. Saban's not walking through the halls of the Malmore Athletic Facility on a regular basis anymore. In fact, he has largely stayed out of the football building since his retirement. His new office, as we know, is in Bryant-Denny, not in Malmore. And finally, according to multiple sources, Nick Saban wasn't even in the state of Alabama for the majority of the month of June. He spent most of his time at his home in Jupiter, Florida, or at his lake house up on Lake Burton in Georgia, as well as on the golf course with Hugh Freeze.
Those 3 in particular guys, do you think that they deduct from their NIL deals?
Like give them a little bit of a discount?
Well, no, you deduct it because you got to meet with Coach Saban. We're paying him $500,000 a year to have this office and for philanthropy. So it's going to be $166K per.
Maybe so. Yeah, per visit. That's what they're. Well, hey, if you get all 3 of those guys, they're all 5 stars. 2 of them have already committed. The third one, Tank Jones, you're hoping will commit later this month. I'd say that's worth $500,000.
If you get Travis Hunter-like production out of those guys.
Yeah, no, you're happy
worth
to be
it, right?
paying that. Yeah, well, and this also, again, it's if this story is true, and I trust Nick Kelly and his sources, maybe you sit there and you're like, man, that's a lot for each recruit. But I mean, what did we do last year? How many times do we ask the question on the show, what are they paying Nick Saban to do? Because throughout the season, right, you had people going, so why is Kalen DeBoer or Kane Womack or Nick Sheridan, why are they not calling Nick Saban and asking for help? Because clearly there were some struggles and bumps along the road last year, but now I guess we have a little bit of an answer of what he's getting paid to do. So he helped a little bit with recruiting, but not as overblown as it may seem. And again, I just want to point this out because this has gotten lost by a lot of people. But the main reason from what I can take away from this is you had the funeral for Keelan Russell's sister, which is why the staff was out of town, and Nick Saban stepped in and filled that void while they were supporting one of their current players. So, I mean, you can say what you want about that, but that's nothing to me.
Yeah, I don't think
you would want your coach to be supporting his player through a rough.
I don't know what his daily
time.
pace looks like compared to what it used to be, but I guarantee you it's not as strenuous. Now, he doesn't just roll up on the game day set on Saturday and say, all right, let's go. What are we talking about? I mean, he is a guy that obviously likes to prepare. He likes
he puts the work in
to be well prepared. But
no, you were absolutely right. Well,
but you know what? At least it only took a season, but at least now and that's a credit to Kalen DeBoer and his staff.
Alabama fans have, I guess, been running with on social media is, okay, so Nick Saban retired because he couldn't keep up and recruit in this new era, yet now the only reason that Alabama's still doing well recruiting is because of Nick Saban. So people are having fun with that. But we'll close. This is a quote from Xavier Griffin's mom. I mentioned it earlier, but she posted this on Twitter. She said, "Let me make this clear for Xavier Griffin's commitment when it comes to Alabama. It makes me mad to hear that Kalen DeBoer can't recruit because our coach and his staff did a great job. I met Nick Saban once, but he is not the one that offered or talked to him, and he is the GOAT that got my son to commit to Alabama. Laugh and can't wait for the season. Roll Tide. Laugh and can't wait for the season. Roll Tide."
One question, Mrs. Griffin. Did you or did you not participate in the electric slide with Coach Saban and Miss Terry on that visit?
It's a great question.
That's all I want to know. Remind you,
that's what they're paying them for, the dance moves.
That's right. We continue. We get to your phone calls and more from Big 12 Media Day 2 here on Jox. Ow! 12:34, the Wednesday edition of Three Man Front. Big 12 Media Day Part 2 going on right now. Oklahoma State's Mike Gundy trying to bounce back from what was a dreadful year. They did beat Arkansas in a game that I still don't know how they won.
Ooh, but yeah, winless in the Big 12. Ooh.
But Conrad just showed me the EA Sports College Football likeness of Coach Mike Gundy.
He has an afro.
His hair, it's taller than it. Those of you remember Saved by the Bell Screech. It's taller than that.
Yeah.
Would you say like Mark Sears?
Yeah, but maybe even a little poofier.
Maybe a little poofier.
But yeah, that's not a bad comparison. But hey, he said he was happy about it. He said apparently he got asked about it today, and he said, "Yeah, they gave me a good head of hair."
Right. He's
I
got
appreciate
a lot of hair.
He certainly does. But it's just interesting because I haven't gotten the new one yet. But at least last year, I mean, they had players and stuff with mullets in the game, and I was like, you could tell it was a mullet, and that's what he has. And I guess they decided to go the afro route. But he seems to be a good.
You
sport
haven't
about
gotten
it.
the new game yet?
No, I. You know these.
Do you
things,
not want it?
Yeah.
And you got the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have the money now. No, it's just buying it's like with Madden or anything, and I'm sure some other people out there can relate. It's like they don't change year to year, really.
So you don't buy it every year? It's like an every other
I buy like
year?
every 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
But sometimes,
do the same thing you did with the toothbrushes yesterday with the toilet brush. You could buy a whole new console.
That's right. I probably could do that. But it's like other things. I think with other people, you get as we get closer to college football season, you really get that itch, and so I'll buy it, but not yet.
I'm with you. It'd be like
it's like $80, or no, if you want to get it now to play early, it's like $110. It's a lot of money for a video game.
Yeah, and kind of like a certain model of car. You got the whatever, and maybe there's just a little tweak to the design. You're going to go out and you're going to buy one. I don't know.
Well, it's like people that, and I get for some people it's a collectible, but I've never understood, people that go and buy the new iPhone every single year. Like every single year you have to have the newest one. I get some people are techie like that.
No, I'm right there with you.
That just seems like a waste of money. In my opinion, it seems like a waste of money.
I'm the guy when I walk into the store, they're like, sir, you were eligible a long time ago. I guess they still did that.
Well, when I was a kid, I was adamant every 2 years. I was like, Mom, we can get our new phones. I mean, I got a new phone this year, but I'd had my old phone for 5 years, I think. 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I got a new phone like beginning of this year. And I had mine for about 4 years.
Like it works just fine.
Yeah.
My wife gets on to me if I don't do the updates.
On your phone?
Yeah.
See, I have a problem now where I have to go and delete stuff off my phone because apparently I have too much stuff on there, and so I can't update my phone until I go and delete.
You know what I just learned how to do? And look, I'm proud of the fact that I don't on some of this stuff. I don't get all into it. I find other things to occupy my time. But the is it the meme emoji? The meme emoji?
Oh, Bitmoji
where you
thing?
can like make it?
Where you can have like your face and then you use your voice and then it.
Yeah. You just started doing that?
Yes.
I haven't done that.
Yeah, I just learned how to do it.
I like the Jinmoji where you can make your own.
What is this?
Too many emojis.
It's so fun.
What's a Jinmoji?
Well, I have the newest update. I don't think I have the newest phone anymore because didn't a new one just come out?
I don't know.
I can't keep track of them
I think
anymore.
So. They're telling me, yes.
But I think I have, what phone is this? I think this is the 16. Yes, I have the 16. And I have, I think, the most recent update. But you can create your own emoji. It's really fun.
So how do I know what phone I have?
Go to your settings and go to General.
Yep.
And I'm sure
About?
people are very interested in this.
Sorry.
Yeah, General About, and it'll tell you the model name.
Yeah.
So I have a 16 Pro.
That's what I have. I have the 16 Pro.
I got the 14.
There you go. Yeah. Okay, so you maybe do. Do you have a home button? Like, do you have any
No,
buttons
that
on your
ended
screen?
after the X.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, see, that was the one I had before this one. I had one that had the like a button on it.
Yeah.
People are like, your phone has a button?
That's how my mom was. My mom had the home button for a long time.
I know somebody who's just as technologically savvy as me. Our next caller. Hello?
Hey, guys.
Hey.
What's up, guys?
Hey. How are you?
Hey, I don't think I got a phone savvy, Landrum. I'm terrible at phones. I'm good at losing it all the time, though. Leaving it where.
There you go. That's something.
Hey, when you get older, you get senile, guys, okay?
Okay.
Okay, question for you, Landrum. I heard y'all were talking about the clearinghouse.
Uh-huh.
So basically, all these kids, Conrad, that have signed with Alabama, y'all been lying to them about how much money they're going to give them.
Every single one of them, Don. Every single one. Lying through our teeth.
Quit cheating, like Conrad.
I know. Look, I tried to talk to Coach DeBoer and tell him to do things the right way, and he said, no, we're doing it my way.
Don, they're going to blame it on Saban.
Well, actually, you know what? I don't have a problem with that, Landrum. I don't have a problem with that at all. If I had a legend like Saban, I'd use him to recruit too.
I got no problem right.
with that.
Does the $500,000 they're paying him cut into the $20.5 million that they have for the house settlement? That's what I want to know.
I don't know.
Well, that's my question. That's my question I got. I think you said 80% of the offers have been have been rejected by the clearinghouse, correct?
Let's see that number so I'll give you an accurate one.
I do remember it was a fairly small percentage of deals that had already been approved.
So basically, my point is asking by that. In my Auburn situation, and other I heard Dillingham's response. So see, Conrad, everybody, it's not just you, Freeze, and Cohen saying it.
1,200 deals that were submitted to the clearinghouse. 1/3 were approved. 80 were denied.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that 80%, there's an 80% chance that those kids don't get what, except for us and probably half a dozen schools not doing it. So basically, all these offers that have been put out are going to be null and void by the clearinghouse, probably, right?
We will have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, August 1st, guys. But hey, guys, if I don't get to talk to you the rest of the week, y'all enjoy Atlanta. Be safe. And Conrad, if you're sharing a room with Landrum, do not touch his toothbrush.
I will try my best.
Here's
I'm a
the
fiend
thing
for germs. What can I say?
I've got one of those battery-powered toothbrushes.
Ooh, those are nice. I would love to try one.
But I think for this trip, I'm going to buy 4 new toothbrushes. Keep them in the package. When I use it, it goes in the trash can.
Okay, well, I got to tell Molly something about what Conrad's mother-in-law said on Facebook on my post last night. Molly,
okay.
She said, well, I guess Paige's not going to be kissing him anymore for a while, and I guess I won't have no grandkids.
Oh.
Well. She was joking, of course, and I'm joking too. Conrad, you were a trooper yesterday, man. I'll give you credit.
There's a lot of advancements in that department.
Now Landrum, he's got to buy all y'all dinner now since he made that $250 or $260 or whatever it was yesterday, right?
I told him I would treat him to the hookah lounge.
Yep.
With Paul.
We're gonna go and smoke some flavored tobacco.
All right, guys. So y'all enjoy yourselves, and we'll talk to y'all next week, guys.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks,
Don.
And Don checking out early.
The more you know. Yeah. The more you know. I'm glad my mother-in-law is not proud of me either.
Go prove her wrong.
Fortunately, my mom doesn't know about it yet. I'm sure she'll end up finding about it, but I at least dodged that bullet for a day or two.
Hey, man. $226 richer.
It goes a long way.
Yeah.
Not as long as it used to. But.
No.
I still can't believe you did that.
Yeah. We continue.
Sorry, real quick. What was it the tongue? Like, was that the worst part, or what was? Because it did seem like that was when it went from maybe being funny to this is bad.
It's just all of it.
It was all of it.
It was just kind of gross.
Well, I needed a win. I'm on the board.
You are on
But do we consider that a win?
I would say
No.
I would say my record now is 1-2-1. The food challenges were lost. We'll call it a draw on the fish thing because of the can opener.
Something disgusting like that. I feel like he was like, "Oh, please throw me the breaking ball. I can't hit the breaking ball house." He likes to do disgusting things like that.
That's not a win though, because you lost your dignity. And that's
your tongue with that hot chip.
Evidently, it's $200.
With that hot chip for the one chip challenge. Yeah, let's see you do the same thing you did with that toothbrush on your tongue.
I don't think I'm going to be doing that.
Bad idea.
We're doing that at media days, right?
We're definitely not. Not if you're sharing with me. We continue on 3-Man Run. 12:48, three-man front, the mullet / afro, according to EA College Football, in the new video game, in the Mike Gundy likeness, where he's got a little bit of a fro going.
He does.
Looks good.
But he approved of it.
Yeah, looks well balanced.
Yeah, it does.
Looks like very hydrated hair.
It's, almost like a chia pet, kind of.
A little bit.
Chia.
Yeah.
Well, something else that looks good is your diamond from Diamonds Direct, because they are not your typical jewelry store. It is a full-on experience. It's truly one of the best places I have ever been. The second that you walk in, you're buzzed through the front door like you're a VIP. They'll greet you with champagne, and they have this extremely personal energy about them, like they've been expecting you. And right now they're having a promotion where you can buy the engagement ring and you'll get the wedding band for free. I'm serious, and that's not a promo that you see every day. And, if you're thinking about getting engaged and popping the question, now's the time to do it, because who doesn't want a free wedding band? So go check them out. They're located in the Cahaba Village in Mountain Brook. They have deep roots in the community going back nearly 2 decades now, and they are proud sponsors of Alabama and Auburn and the Birmingham Barons.
And Molly just goes up there to drink the champagne.
That's right.
Some days.
Well, it's complimentary.
It is. It's really good champagne, too.
And by the way,
and I like to look at all the sparkles.
They also have cold beer and non-alcoholic drinks if you want those as well.
Oh, really? There you
it's
go.
Not just a champagne.
There you
go. Dee and Charlie.
They have the champagne of beer as well?
No, you're not going to get that one. Not going to get that one there. Somebody who would enjoy probably the champagne of beer.
Is
one Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State head coach from Big 12 Media Day in Texas today. Here's what he had to say.
When we start on July 27th, 2 things have to go out the window. One, thinking of transferring or taking other jobs as a coach or a player. 2, the money aspect has to go to the side, because for the most part, the coaches and the players, all of us, including me, are going to be at this location until at least December. The teams that can put that to the side and the coaches that can put that to the side, concentrate on coaching and playing football, and find a way to come together, in my opinion, get the best chance to win.
Love the message. Totally agree.
Yep, don't disagree with that at all.
Because if that was a sentiment that we heard last year from more coaches, either former coaches or current coaches, it was buy-in. What is the level of buy-in with some of these guys? The old adage of you're not going to get a team playing at its peak every single Saturday.
No, you're not.
No, you're going to have your highs, and you're going to have your weeks where not as much. You would like to have as much. But couple that with, and it's all relative, whether you're the star quarterback and you just got a $3 million deal at a big school, or you're the offensive lineman that just got $100,000. Relative, right? 19-year-old Landrum, I'm not going to speak for you guys, but $100,000.
Sign me up.
Yeah, got this for 1 year, being on this team. It's probably going to change my perspective a little bit.
It is, and I think a lot of people would also look and go, well, I mean, you didn't win a game in the conference last year. You went 3-9. Of course, kids were, looking at transferring and, if they could go somewhere else or get a better opportunity in the offseason. But we've also, we know of specific examples within teams that have made the college football playoff and are still dealing with this, right? It's affecting everybody, whether you're winning, losing. Sometimes if you're winning, it's probably even worse, right? Because you've got guys that, hey, I know we're about to go play in this playoff game, but I would kind of like to know that there's going to be some sort of commitment made to me in my future in this program. Otherwise, maybe I'm not going to try as hard at practice this week. And it's crazy to say those things, but we know that those things have happened when you're at the peak of the sport and that stuff's still going on. So I love what Mike Gundy said, just like you said. I think that is a sentiment that every coach in the country has, and it's unfortunately very difficult, I think, for most of them. I feel pretty confident saying the majority of teams this year will not have that. They will be dealing with negotiations, tampering, all of that stuff during the season.
And if you don't have that motor going at full capacity, where it would bite you is if you're going on and you're an NFL guy and the tape. That will hurt you.
Yes.
That will certainly hurt you on where you're drafted, and ultimately that will affect your payday. I don't think it's going to hurt you that much at the college level these days. There's not enough of those guys to go around, and everybody's in desperate need of refilling their roster.
Mhm.
That's the problem.
No,
That's one of the problems.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, I think a great example of what you just said would be Luther Burden at Missouri, right? He was a guy that we had all looked at. He was a 5-star recruit, had a fantastic year 2 years ago, was seen as a lock to be a first-round pick, and then he ends up being a second-round pick. Why? The tape wasn't as good last year, and people didn't believe that he loved playing football. We've heard that a lot this draft, and we've heard it in the past too, of does this guy love playing football? And I think you have a lot of guys that – we always knew growing up there were certain guys that had the talent, but they were in it for the money, right? And I think now you're just getting that at the college level, whereas before you were mainly getting it at the NFL level. And it's still sad that, it seems like there's a number of guys that don't. And again, I get it when you're 19 and a big fat check's thrown in front of your face. It's hard to see the long term, but they're taking the money in the short term as opposed to, hey, let me go and work, get to the NFL. And then once I get that contract in the NFL, we're not talking about $2 million a year. We're talking about $30 million a year. And then you're in the generational wealth conversation, which is where these guys ultimately want to be. They're just not putting in as much work now maybe to get there.
Well, if you're a Luther Burden or if you're a Ryan Williams, I'm not saying any of those guys in particular, they would be this way, or a Cam Coleman, just using their athletic ability as an example, you would have leverage. You certainly have leverage in that scenario. And that's a tough spot to put your team in. That's a tough spot to put coach in. But ultimately, if you think that is going to benefit you, having players early in the season go to their coach and saying, hey, I heard so-and-so just got this deal. Well, you've got a great deal, son. Well, I want a better deal. I don't have that deal. I'm not going to play this week.
Ego.
Hey, it's our first conference game. We got to have you, sport. Nope, not going to play. Want a deal. So now, coach has to take time out of his week, call Booster X, Booster Y. They got to get something put together, put something on paper. And then you hope that sport goes and gives it. I think that it would change if we cycle through a few of these years, but you got new kids coming in, and
it's
the new norm.
It is. Sadly, it is.
More from Big 12 Media Day. Also, Molly marinates, and the worst thing I've seen. We continue. 3-man front on this glorious, like Mike Gundy's hair in the video game. Wednesday. 1 o'clock, 3-man front here on Jox, Landrum, Conrad, and Molly. This Wednesday. If you're into torture or you just hate the Braves, you can hear them tonight right here on Jox as they take on the West Sacramento Athletics.
That's just what you want to do on a Wednesday night is stay up until midnight watching your frustrating season unfold before your very eyes.
Maybe just cut yourself. Like lightly. Not talking about.
No, just a little something.
Yeah, just a little something.
Yeah, I feel bad for Barrett's on nights like that because, I mean, I know we've talked to him about it in the past, but.
Yeah, but I'll remind you. Been in that situation before. At least he's getting paid to talk about them to lose.
That is fair. Well, I was talking more so this week with the West Coast games and probably not wrapping things up until 2 a.m. ish.
This is true.
That would be a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot for him next week though, with media days going on,
all the All-Star stuff. He's still got to get us our home run derby tickets.
You know, that is quite the note. It just dawned on me: the most meaningful game remaining and truest this season is the All-Star game.
Yeah, it's looking that way. Do you think you could get us on the field? I've always wanted to be one of the kids that, gets to shag fly balls during the home run derby. I think that'd be really fun if Barrett could work that out.
That'd be great for you.
I've always thought that would.
You would have to wear
tennis shoes.
Yeah, you couldn't wear your
my Dove Charnies.
Your Dove Charnies. That guy, what a creepo. Now the CEO of your favorite shoe manufacturer.
Ooh, yeah, that's when I
the train wreck American Apparel. By the way, I had no idea that they were using the ads that they were using back in the day. If you haven't seen that, it's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. I think it's a little less than an hour long. It's very interesting.
It is. I don't really remember American Apparel, but I certainly would have remembered the ads had I seen them at the time that they were big.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably that did see them will certainly remember them for a long time. But yeah, there's nothing like watching a documentary like that and the whole time going, man, this guy sucks. Like, this guy's awful. Can you imagine being around this guy or having to work for him? And then at the end, it's, oh, this guy's now the CEO of your favorite clothing brand. Like, awesome.
The scandal
Great.
I remember around a clothing manufacturer, and I hope I'm not saying this wrong. Correct me if I am, but it was Abercrombie and Fitch.
I believe so.
Right? With some of the models and some of the stuff they used in their ad campaign. But I had no idea American Apparel was doing this.
No.
Now, my wife said that she would buy some American Apparel stuff back in the day because she said it was simple and they offered like basic colors.
Okay, well, I guess
whatever that means.
That's what was in at the time.
Like basics.
Basics.
I had a couple of like
so
t-shirts.
What would a basic? Or just a T-shirt?
Like a plain tee, some sweats,
just
maybe.
like a white T-shirt, a black T-shirt, blue, whatever. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what she said.
Okay, Michael Scott.
No, that is literally what my wife said.
No.
Anyways,
we have fun here.
Yeah, we do. We got the text line is open.
It is.
A lot of fresh text coming in.
Absolutely. 205-834-9450 if you want to get on the courtesy GMC text line. We've been talking Big 12 media days, talking SEC media days, some of the things we've heard from various coaches, as well as some recruiting. And this text rolls in from Gavin. He says, Gavin asked, will y'all be at... Well, actually, first, he says, Landrum, I turned off the game last night after the first pitch turned into an inside-the-park home run. I think there's probably a lot of fans that...
Yeah, that doesn't happen every night. And then we had a walk-off.
I was about to say, but the Giants.
And the first... Was that it was the first one since 1926. I don't know. There were all kinds of records being broken in the state of California last
night. It was just crazy because the Braves game I guess the bottom of the first inning started with the inside the park, and then the Giants win on a walk-off inside the park.
I put that guy on waivers, by the way, several weeks ago.
The Giants guy or the A's guy?
Lawrence Butler. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's too inconsistent. I should have known, though.
Yeah,
he would do that against the Braves.
He should have. But Gavin also asked, will any of y'all be at the Yankees game next Saturday night in Atlanta?
Hot shot, Will.
I'm trying to we'll see.
Oh, fuzzy tooth.
TBD. I would like to. I'm going to try to make it out to at least one of those games, though, Gavin. But it's just, I'm coming back from Atlanta on Thursday. Do I want to get back and drive back on Saturday? But we'll see. It depends on if my wife wants to do that, because that could be fun.
Don't be extending your stay on my credit card.
Oh, I thought you didn't get that charge yet? No.
This is awkward.
I'm sure it'll come through later. Somebody asking Molly,
how did you request a heart-shaped tub?
That was for us. Somebody texted and asked, has Molly ever listened to Jessie Murph out of Huntsville? It's a singer.
I think I know one of her songs.
Okay. I've never heard of Jessie Murph, but I guess
Jessie Murph.
She's worth checking out, according to this listener.
I just know one of her songs from TikTok.
Okay.
How's it go?
Well, it's called Blue Strips.
Okay.
I'm not going to sing it, but it's about like $100 bills because they have the blue strips on them.
Okay. Oh, I know.
Yeah,
what
I think you know it.
Yeah. Okay. I
It's
know.
pretty popular.
What's
now.
the genre of music?
Pop, I guess.
I wouldn't call it country, no offense, but that's just me. But I think she's a country music singer.
It sounds like pop music.
So it does,
instead of bro country, it's
pop country.
Pop
I
country.
guess.
gal country.
Yeah. Something like that. Posey chimes in. He asks, can we set up at the All-Star game for Conrad to race Mr. Freeze on the field?
Oh, that would be great.
That is a challenge that I would lose. I will tell you that right now.
What would you pull first? Would it
Hammy?
It would be hammy and then quad?
Yeah. The hammy that'd be bad. I do not need to, not in great running shape. Let's see. Bobby chimes in. Says, good job to Conrad for finally getting a win and a challenge, but the bet where he might have to swap out the Tua jersey for a Diego Pavia jersey is still on the table because it wasn't a food challenge. I did say that.
What was the bet?
That if Alabama lost to Vanderbilt again this year, that I would burn my Tua jersey and buy a Diego Pavia jersey and wear it.
If Vanderbilt does the same thing that they did last year, they beat Auburn, they beat Alabama, and Oklahoma does the same thing.
I might have to quit. Honestly, at that point, I would feel like I was the problem. I would seriously. I mean, at that point, it's like
you actually would.
I would genuinely feel bad, which is why I'm. Somebody asked the other day, like, what games are you planning on going to this year? I have a couple that I'm considering, but I'm being dead serious. I don't know if I want to go to a game this year just to see what happens, because it has not gone well for me the last few years.
Legit question. I'm not trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Are we sure that this is Diego's last year of college football?
No, we're not.
I already has 4 more.
I mean, seriously, though, is anybody going to be surprised if there's some loophole and he's playing one more year in 2026? No.
No, and I just want to say this. I hope that he plays multiple years.
Just keep him as long as we can in college football?
Yep.
He's going to be a good
I love the character that is
Diego
Diego Pavia. The interesting thing is, will Vanderbilt pony up the money to keep him after next year?
That would be a good – well, according to Bussin' with the Boy, or his interview with Bussin' with the Boys, he
turned
said
down
he was
$4 million?
Right. Right. Brandon chimes in. He says, if Alabama misses the playoffs again this year, will they be as patient as LSU has been with Brian Kelly? I'm going to say no.
You say no.
Well, let's see. Brian Kelly, this is his...
This is year 5?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Is this 4 or 5 in LSU? I'm trying to remember. Because I feel like this. If Alabama, let's say they miss the playoffs again this year, I think he's definitely on the hot seat next year. Again, I understand the buyout's extreme, but let's say you miss three years in a row at Alabama, you don't make the playoffs. I think at that point they probably try to make a change. But I guess that would come down to the financials more than anything of it. Let's see, 22, 23.
Yeah,
but again, I know the money is where that gets
after year 3,
tricky.
That conversation is probably had. I'm not saying that decision is reached, but a conversation is.
The conversation is being had. This is Brian Kelly's 4th year at LSU.
Oh, 4. Just seems like 5.
So we'll see. It does. It seems like he's been there for a minute. Good question there, Brandon. Bobby chimes in. He reminds me. Oh, thank you. I forgot my own bet. He says you don't have to burn the Tua jersey. You just can't wear it for the rest of the year. Okay, that's good.
He's selling his house, by the way.
I didn't want to burn it. Let's see. Posey says, could Diego Pavia go play JUCO ball for another year? Is that a loophole you could have? You go back to go to the junior college level. I think at that point he'd be better off just. I mean, I know it's a maybe an old joke, but go sell
At
insurance
that
somewhere
point,
and
is that
do
where
well.
is that where Netflix or Apple TV they jump on board and they just televise all of his games? JUCO games?
Just give us a last chance you type thing, but it's just Diego Pavia in his school, and it's mainly focused on Diego.
I'm about to say, I want like a quarterback series, but just Diego Pavia.
Just Diego, yeah, that's right. Speaking of which, the new season of that just came out on Netflix yesterday. I'm going to watch that tonight.
I haven't seen it yet because I don't have Netflix, but I do need to get that.
We sell Jay Cutler in the reality show. I think Diego Pavia would be really good with like a travel series that he did.
Jay Cutler has a reality show?
He did.
Oh, him and his wife had one, didn't
Back
they?
in the day, yeah.
That's right.
But I think that Diego Pavia traveling, like where in the world is Diego Pavia?
Where in the...
It might have been Matt Lauer's thing.
What was the board game? What was it? Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego or
Yeah.
something like that? I feel like I remember that from a kid. We have a text from our good buddy Keller. Says, listening to y'all live from Stillwater. Still no NIL QR codes I can scan around Oklahoma State. If you remember that last year, they were trying to put the QR codes on their helmets so people could scan them in the middle of a game and donate to the NIL fund.
I'm fascinated. What is Keller putting together in Stillwater?
That's what I'm interested in.
It's probably
That's
top
an interesting
secret.
question.
We probably can't share it on the air. Is Oklahoma State getting like a beer garden?
Ooh. Now that would be something.
That's why Gundy's so excited.
That would be something. Let's see. Yes, that's a great quote from him. Mary chimes in, one of our toothbrush donators yesterday. Our great listener, Mary, who joins us at Social Taco on Tuesdays, like you should as well.
She's a sweet lady.
She is very sweet. She says, Conrad, I do feel badly about bringing you a used toothbrush, but I'm glad you made enough to take Paige out to a nice dinner.
That's probably the only thing that kept me from throwing up.
What?
Just knowing that two sweet ladies.
That definitely made me feel better.
Like if it had been some, I don't know why that makes a difference, but it does.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Still.
Let's see. Fat Joe, he chimes in. He says, the chicken challenge should have been considered a draw because they changed the chicken on Conrad just like they made you do 40 seconds instead of 30 seconds yesterday. I will say yesterday I did volunteer that because we had more money piled in.
He got excited.
But
Okay,
Fat Joe,
but that chicken was amazing.
Oh, it was incredible.
It was so good.
You talking about the new chicken feathers?
No, when he did his chicken
No,
challenge.
the new chicken feathers are incredible.
I mean, yeah, those are amazing.
But
too.
we're talking about the
Bar for more information.
Yes, but the Eugene's thing we did for the challenge.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Those were yummy.
was
Thanks to our
good.
buddies there at Eugene's.
Yeah.
Yes, but
But the chicken feathers are amazing too.
Yeah, they are.
Yes.
That new batter is.
Oh,
I was
it's so
about to
good.
say I didn't think you could improve on the chicken feather, but they somehow made them 10 times better. Let's see. Okay, do you remember? Steve, can you see this picture of this? I think this
Yes.
was a Texas fan.
Yes.
Somebody says that was the inspiration for Mike Gundy in the new college football video game.
It's pretty close.
I
Not
can't-
enough curl?
No.
Not enough curl.
Was that from the playoff game maybe where they lost to Ohio State?
I think it was.
But if anybody remembers, there was a vile picture of a Texas fan last year with a very tiny head and a massive poofy head of hair.
Hadn't cut it in a while.
No, and that is exactly what Mike Gundy looks like in it. And Joseph adds in, he says, this year NCAA football game is the first time, because I forgot last year they didn't have coaches in it. So this is kind of their first go-around, I guess, on some of the character models for the coaches in the game. So
Can
maybe
you
they're
change
just-
your coach's outfit?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know.
Would you'd put a collar on Kalen DeBoer, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. I didn't even think about that because he is one of the coaches that's in the game. I wonder what they have him wearing on the sidelines. Probably that.
I forgot about
Shorts
that
they put you
meme.
think-
I just found
Yeah,
There it is.
That's exactly
Yep.
what it is. Yeah.
He looks like Conway Twitty with his hair.
His name is officially Lord Helmet.
Oh, that's
Lord
great.
Helmet. That is
That's a big head of hair.
that. Yes, it is.
It is
So
tall too.
it's certainly a lot of hair. So you can keep the text rolling in to the Courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450. You send it in, and we will read them.
I love that I'm looking at these pictures from Big 12 Media Days
Mhm.
and Texas Tech billionaire booster Cody Campbell just hanging out.
Is Nick Saban there with him and Donald Trump for the commission?
It's just wild I don't know why this surprise in a picture. You've got your $1 billion booster who is bought and paid for a roster that could be football playoff this year. And He's taking it all in, and it's all
Is he
legal.
being interviewed?
Yeah, it looks like he is.
That's interesting.
How things have changed.
Good for Texas Tech.
Yep. If you just came out of a coma, we got a lot to catch you up on. Molly marinates. We do it next. $119, three-man front. Baseball going on right now. Ahead of the bottom of the first inning. No score between the Brewers and the Dodgers. There's a rain delay between Toronto and the White Sox a little bit later on. You get the Phillies and the Giants. What an exciting walk-off inside the park. What was that? It was a home run, right?
It was a 3-run inside the park
Home
home
run.
run. I will say, one of the craziest bounces I've ever seen a ball take off of a wall in a baseball. Like it hit the right center field wall and bounced all the way across to left field just about. It was wild.
The team at Dobbs Ford, they got a new addition to their service. Very excited to tell you about the mobile service van that's going to come to your home, school, or work. From oil and filter changes to a tire rotation, brakes, and so much more. They can even service multiple vehicles at one time. Just one of the perks of doing business with Dobbs Ford. DobbsFordBirmingham.com, right there on Parkway East. They have all kinds of specials going on. The Ford employee pricing on makes and models right now. Also 90 days until your first payment. And the wonderful people you get there at Dobbs Ford. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. Always tell them Landrum from Jox sent you.
Well, we will get to Molly Marinades coming up at 1:30, as we always look forward to Molly's wonderful questions in the absence of Pat. But we will go back to the Courtesy GMC text line here momentarily. You have some...
No, I'm just excited.
Okay.
I always like making the questions.
You look like you have a...
I like it when you make the questions.
Thank you.
She just has the look of like she has a question that's going to trap us or...
No, I wouldn't say
or
trap.
something like that.
Snare?
No. I'm excited to ask you guys questions.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a BB question in there, too.
Oh, wonderful.
Pat did send me a couple. You were saying how he texted you at 5:45.
Mm-hmm.
He also texted me this morning saying, hey, here are some BB questions just in case.
I'm glad he did not text me. But I was up. I was up at 4:25.
You were. I got a text from Pat at 5:30, and I got an email from you at like 6:45, and that's just how we do things.
Well, I don't. It's a 6 a.m. rule. And I know that you're on the air at 6 a.m., but I'm not going to text or send an email before 6 a.m.
No, that's general. I think most people appreciate that.
And you will appreciate, since you're going to be getting up early in Atlanta next week, to please respect my my sleep.
Oh, I make a lot of noise when I get up in the morning.
Well,
so just get ready for that.
Take a dart to the neck.
That's
I travel with them.
I'm going to need updates from you, too.
Oh, it'll be great. We're going to have a good
As
time.
to how this goes every day.
If Conrad shows up in the, not to give out too much information, but if he shows up in the room at 3 a.m. and he's got an extra rose on him.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm calling Paige.
I was about to say, and if that does happen.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about, fella.
Please call my wife. Yeah, he just did the walk of shame out of here, didn't he? Oh, that's all right.
Ears were burning.
Well, back to the Courtesy GMC text line. We'll go. See, now he's lingering, kind of looking. Yeah, that's right. But we'll go back to the Courtesy GMC text line here for just a moment. You hear us talking about you a little bit? I heard my ears burning. Well, yeah, just a little bit.
No, he can join us for Molly Marinades. Come up in just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I do want to ask. I want. Go ahead.
So Daryl chimes in. He asked, how much would it take, Landrum, for you to use the toothbrush? So after I was done with the toothbrushes yesterday, how much for you to then use that same toothbrush?
It'd have to be close to retirement money.
So the $10,000 that was initially on the table for that would be...
That's not even a conversation. No.
Okay.
No, you add several zeros.
I agree.
And commas.
Several zeros.
I think if you did it conservatively, you didn't have to live too much. It was tax-free. I think $1 million at this point in my life, and of course tomorrow's not promised, but I think $1 million, I think I can make it work.
I would hope so for $1 million.
I think I could do it.
I think that'd be reasonable.
A lot of
for
Vienna
$1 million.
sausage, but that's fine.
Yeah. Let's see. Fat Joe chimes in again. He says, this is a great stat. He says, what's funny about the walk-off inside the park home run for the Giants last night is the catcher, their Giants catcher is the one who hit it, and he has been clocked as the slowest base runner in Major League Baseball this year. He was still able to get around for a walk-off inside the park.
Who's that, Bailey?
I can't remember who it was. Not Buster Posey.
No.
not him.
I'm dang sure wasn't Sean Murphy.
No. Let's see. Michael chimes in, and this is something that we will do on Friday, as we do each Friday during the offseason at 12:30 is Molly's Movie Minute. Someone asked, and don't give anything away, have you watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure yet?
Maybe.
Okay. We'll leave it at that.
But I had to watch 2, remember?
Oh, that's right. The documentary as well.
I will say I've watched 1, but I haven't watched the other yet.
What, on Pee-wee?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's coming up on Friday.
Big Top
Molly's
Pee-wee.
Movie Minute, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and the
documentary
accompanying HBO documentary.
HBO. Okay.
Yeah, it's on Max.
Okay.
Which, as of today, is HBO Max again. So they changed their name back to what it was initially. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Man.
Yeah, it's back.
It's been like back. 6 different names.
Is it HBO? You said?
It's now HBO Max. It
HBO
was
Max.
HBO, then it was HBO Max, then it was Max, and now it's HBO Max again.
Ugh.
I never understood why they took HBO out of it. That's
I don't
that's
either.
the brand.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's back to how it
Somebody
should be,
got paid a lot of money to make that decision.
Yeah. And guess what? Somebody got paid a lot of money to then make the decision to go back to the original name.
Yep.
Must be nice.
Somebody at Nike made the decision to go those vapes last year.
That's-
Vape uniforms. Vapor, whatever they're called.
Yeah. They have Nike vapes now. I'm just
Yes.
I know. I was like, what?
It is.
Is Eric Gilbert the spokesperson for those?
Taste the
I
fish.
was waiting for that. As soon as you said vape, I just knew it was coming.
You knew that had to happen.
Smoke the swoosh.
Somebody asked if I'll just say this. I'm not doing this. But they say, since Conrad's proven he can't eat food fast, but he can put nasty stuff in his mouth no problem, how about you get him to eat the hissing cockroaches like they used to do on Fear Factor? I remember watching some of those episodes. I remember one where they had to eat a scorpion, I think.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm not. No.
No.
I
always
saw
hated that show.
One of the challenges, and this guy, he was going to get a lot of money, but it was a big, you wouldn't call it a aquarium, but like an aquarium where they had rattlesnakes, but they had to control his heart rate and everything else, and they laid him in there softly on the rattlesnakes, and he had to stay in there.
Oh, he had to lay in
Yeah.
the case on top of the snakes?
Like with the snakes.
Oh.
For a certain amount of time.
No.
And there was a herpetologist that was there, and they were going to the science of basically no sudden movements and controlling your heart rate and all kinds of stuff, and you wouldn't get bit.
Did he get bit?
No.
Good for him. That's what Joe Rogan did, right? Wasn't he the Fear Factor guy?
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah.
I think, yeah. I mean, I know obviously he does a lot of other things now, but that's what I thought that was from. But yeah, no, I won't be doing that one, unfortunately. Johnny chimes in. He says, Conrad, right there with you. I would have done the toothbrush challenge too.
Well, Johnny?
Well, I appreciate that, Johnny.
Might not be any money involved, but go and ask somebody for their old toothbrush.
Oh, this is...
What is it?
I can't read it. It's a good one, but I can't. It is about the toothbrush thing, but I can't.
What's the timestamp?
Where was it? I'll show you in the break. Oh, 114. 114. The one under Johnny. You can go look at that one. Danny chimes in. He says, Landrum, when we got rid of Dansby Swanson, it all started going downhill for the Braves from there. Do you agree?
I agree. We had no choice, though. The Cubs are going to pay him insane money.
Let's see. Zach and Huntsville chimes in. He says, my girlfriend and I are going to the Yankees-Braves game on July 19th. It'll be the first time to a Braves game in Truist. Hopefully it'll be a good time, even though the Braves aren't doing their best. Well, Zach, we hope you have a great time.
Fun.
Should be awesome. I hope that the team I root for wins, but that should be a really big time. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Jake chimes in. He says, is there any chance the Braves trade Acuna? Seems there's not much value on the roster besides him. The Braves could trade to build up the farm system, get a couple solid major leaguers too. I know there have been reports the Braves are not interested, but we know that tactic can be used to get a better trade offer. I would hate for the Braves to get rid of Acuna, but I'm really concerned for the future of the franchise if he's all that we have.
Well, that's the key. He's all you have. And is there any guarantee that knowing what he is when he's healthy, that you're going to get the trade value in return and they're going to be able to produce? Bottom line is they have a roster and guys making a lot of money that should be producing. They're just underperforming. What are the underlying reasons? I can't imagine that it just all happens to just be coincidence and it's just that year that they're all not hitting their weight in batting average.
Another text coming in, going back to...
I blame it on the new uniforms.
That's right. Going back to someone who said, has anybody ever made more off of 2 wins over Nick Saban than Hugh Freeze? Lease chimes in. He says, not a lot of coaches have beaten Nick Saban multiple times, but Gus did beat him 3 times, if I remember correctly. That is correct.
Yes. Gus also, though, parlayed an appearance in a BCS national championship game, SEC championships. Hugh Freeze never did either.
That is a very fair point. And we will wrap up with this one for now, but you can keep sending your text in at 205-834-9450. This text just says, one morning over in Atlanta, Conrad, when you get up to do morning jocks, get a can of the stinky fish, open it in the hotel room, and go to do the show and come back and see how Landrum is doing.
Well,
Not
Pat will be next door.
Not a bad idea. Yeah, I might creep into his room through the air vents or something.
No, just do that to Pat.
Oh, just do that to Pat.
Do you guys?
That's a good idea. Yeah. I hope so.
adjoining rooms.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
Pat, if you hear 2 knocks, that means help.
I'm sure Pat would love that.
I'm sure Pat would not love that.
I woke up in restraints. And Conrad's doing funny things with a toothbrush. Molly marinates. And a special guest next. .134. 3-man front here on Jox. Celine. I wish she would come back. Just 2 weeks in. I'll pay top dollar.
Where'd she go?
Huh?
Where did she go?
She's got the deal she's dealing with.
True. She's had some
She has a health issue.
I watched the documentary. Very sad.
It was.
I really feel bad for her. But
She
that is
did
one
a,
performer I would love to watch her perform.
She had a residency in Vegas, right? Before the health
Yeah,
problems.
she was supposed to have one because we were thinking about going to Vegas, me and my wife, and that is, I told my wife, I said I would pay a lot of money to go see her perform.
My mom said the exact same thing.
Yep.
Me and
I
her
don't
were
know
going to
if
go.
we're ever going to get it.
I know it.
You know? Before we get started real quick with Molly Marinades, do you have any advice that you can give Conrad? Because we have shared a room at SEC Media Days.
We have. Landrum's kind of a heavy sleeper, so you're good.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, as long as you don't make too much racket. I only spent a couple hours.
Cleanliness of the room, though.
Yeah,
I do keep a tidy.
He
I do
does.
keep a tidy room.
Yeah,
that's good.
Very
Are
tidy.
you going to be like this is my half of the room, that's your half of the room kind of a thing?
Yeah,
Okay, that's
absolutely.
fine. That's fair.
And bathroom is common space. I was not concerned about it with Damien. I'm very concerned about it with you.
I will not pee in the shower in Atlanta. Well, until Wednesday when you're gone. And then I have the room to myself.
There's a special dye that I will put in
to make sure
the basin of the tub.
Oh, like the stuff they put in pools or whatever. So when
there will be more demerits, more than demerits that are given out. Yeah, you don't want too many of those. All right, Molly's got questions. Hopefully, we can answer. This is Molly Marinades.
Molly Marinades. And of course, Molly Marinades is always brought to you by Courtesy GMC in Trustville. All right, question number 1. So we know season 2 of Quarterback on Netflix just came out with Jared Goff, Joe Burrow, and Kirk Cousins. And now season 1, we saw not Dylan Raiola, Patrick Mahomes.
Listen to you.
Marcus Mariota and Kirk Cousins again. So if they do decide to make a season 3, which 3 quarterbacks would you want to see?
Very good.
Now, I know we saw a repeat with Kirko, but just all different. I don't want any repeats.
I will say before we answer, I did see it's actually a very sad clip of Kirk Cousins apparently from the show where he essentially is saying that he essentially feels like the Falcons lied to him, and the only reason that he left Minnesota is because they said they were going to commit to him long term, and then they drafted Penix, and
he's getting crushed for it too.
It was. I feel bad for him. It was sad. But okay, 3 quarterbacks that we would want to see on the next season.
Yeah.
Tua.
Of course.
And seriously, I say that. Well, I love Tua. Okay, but listen, he's a very private guy.
He is.
You really don't know a lot about him. And so I understand for everybody else, maybe not as interesting, but I think that would be, I think it would be cool to get some insight into him. I think Jalen Hurts would be another one that would be really, really good.
And Mac Jones. Let's make it a perfect 3.
Jaden Daniels.
Bryce Young.
Jaden Daniels.
See, I was thinking Jane Daniels too.
I think that would be a good. Well, there's
Jaden Daniels would be really good.
There's some slim pickings now because they've gotten a lot of the good ones, honestly.
Yeah. I will go outside of former Alabama quarterbacks.
One was an Oklahoma quarterback.
Oh, that's right. Oh, okay.
Yeah, now
you're
he's
letting them claim it.
Now he's Oklahoma.
I only had one Alabama quarterback
very
on
convenient.
my list. What are you talking about?
All right. So who did we say? I agree with you on
Jane Daniels?
Yeah, Jaden Daniels.
By the time the next season comes around, maybe Arch Manning might be available.
Just for the creepiness of it, Deshaun Watson.
I just need the
I
whole.
thought you were gonna say Aaron Rodgers.
I just need the
I did too.
Browns. I need their quarterback room as a whole. I need a whole season just on that.
Let's get a Deshaun Watson, Justin Tucker, Harrison Butker series on.
Oh no.
Can we do that?
I'd like to see the numbers of demographics
Kicker.
of who was watching that one.
And I want little bit. What's his name? Kyler Murray.
Little bit. You're just gonna watch him play Call of Duty for the entire documentary.
Exactly.
Do you want to watch that?
Exactly. I want to bust him playing all of those video games.
Do you want to watch that?
Because if they follow him around, he's gonna.
Yeah, you know he's gonna. Yeah,
he's like an addict.
Strike it up.
He needs
Oh
it.
yeah, he does.
He's got to have it.
I was thinking more along the lines of kind of like how the quarterback series has been, like an established veteran, kind of somebody in their prime, and then an up and comer. So I went, and I don't like him, but Matthew Stafford for like the vet.
Yeah.
The guy in his prime. I'll say Lamar Jackson, just
That's a
because we
good
haven't seen him
one.
like in a script, like in behind the
Yeah.
scenes, and then of course Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Oh, of
okay,
course.
that'd be a
Cam
good
Ward's
one.
actually a good one.
Oh yeah,
I thought about Cam, but I was saving him for you.
I thank you.
See, I was gonna say Matthew Stafford too, just because, or even maybe like a Russell Wilson, like someone of his
Russell
like
could
same
be.
age.
Oh no,
I ain't trying to see no
Jameis Winston.
Oh, give me Jameis Winston.
That's the one we want. That is the one that we want.
But I was thinking them. Also, Josh Allen.
See, I was gonna say Josh Allen will be good right now because he has
I
a
agree.
lot
He has a lot
going
going
on in his
on.
personal life.
And then for my
Yeah.
younger guy, I was either thinking Jane Daniels or CJ Stroud.
Those would be good.
Yeah, CJ Stroud.
Those would all be good.
No Caleb Williams.
No,
No, we
I'm
good.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
it's all right.
Okay.
I agree.
I know enough about him.
Yeah, it's cool.
He's just gonna be painting his nails the whole time. Anyways.
True. All right, next question.
Sorry.
So this morning, I went on everyone's favorite, the ESPN FPI, and I like to look at, different teams and their chances to make the college football playoff as of today. So I'm going to give you a list of a couple of SEC teams, and I want you to rank them from who you think. And again, this is all according to ESPN FPI.
Okay.
So I want you to rank them who you think ESPN has the most likely to make the playoff to the least likely to make the playoff.
Okay.
I'm going to give you Auburn, South Carolina, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss. Those are your 4.
Okay, so this is based on
Most likely to least likely to make the college football playoff.
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
I'd go.
All right, I got it.
So we're starting from the most to the least.
Least, yeah.
All right. For the most, I'd say Ole Miss, South Carolina, Auburn, Texas A&M.
Okay. I have the answer in front of me.
I've got Ole Miss, South Carolina, A&M, then Auburn.
Yeah, that's the. I'm gonna go with Damien. I think I think Auburn third, A&M last.
Well, here's your answer. You're all wrong.
Ole Miss doesn't have the best odds.
Texas A&M has better odds than Ole Miss. Oh, gosh. Right now, Texas A&M has a 34.3% chance.
Wow.
Ole Miss with a 30.7%. Auburn with a 21.8%. And South Carolina with a 20% chance.
Again.
That's the reason I asked the question, because I would have been with y'all in the order.
Maybe the Auburn one, too, is I think they maybe have more opportunities to impress.
Well, you have to think like they're thinking to do this, or the factors that go into it. It's not necessarily what we think.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
It's a lot of numbers, and but I was shocked, especially with Texas A&M too.
Yeah, that's very surprising.
We used to have Brad Evers on the show. He didn't fully understand some of the things about FBI. So
it's a mystery.
I just want to get y'all's take on that. All right, next question. And this question is inspired by one and only Conrad Van Order.
Oh.
Be honest as well.
Okay. Well, I will be.
How often do you switch out your toothbrush?
Oh, that's.
You go to the store, you buy a new toothbrush, you
no,
switch it out.
I've got the one that sits on the charger. You got that too, don't you?
But don't you have to change out?
Not anymore.
You change the head of the
Yeah, you change out the top.
Change out the head every 2 months. My wife does it for me. She's just.
Oh, that's sweet.
I don't have the option. She just.
See, I do like once about every 2 months, but that's just even with a regular toothbrush.
Right.
When I had the electric one, it's probably like once every 3 or 4 weeks. Like I was replacing that thing.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm guessing, but it's 2 months at the longest.
Same.
I've got the little water pick too. Little battery powered water pick.
I'm going to be completely honest because you
and
asked
that's
for
what
honesty.
We want. Mm-hmm.
I couldn't give you a time frame, but when you use a non-electric toothbrush and when the bristles start to spread out some, that's when I get a new toothbrush. When the bristles start to, when you can tell it's like, okay, there's been some work put in here, that's when I get a new one, which I would guess if I had to put a time frame on it, every 3 months.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say 6.
No.
I go about every 2 months.
Would you be opposed to brushing your teeth in the Omni lobby bathroom?
I brush my teeth twice a day.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I floss now because of Paige.
Thank you.
You weren't flossing before?
No.
Oh, God.
I need
I was
to.
up in the air on whether buying 4 new toothbrushes and taking one out a day or using the hotel room safe.
Might want to use the safe.
You got to floss some things, man.
All right, do you guys want a BB question?
Of course.
Sure.
All right, this one's from our friend BB. Would you take ballroom dancing lessons if your wife or significant other asked you to?
100%.
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
She ain't got to ask. I'll do it anytime.
Yeah.
I already have.
That's what I'm saying. I used to
Good job, guys. I'm
Man,
proud.
I used to do Zumba. Like, I can learn to Argentine tango. That's a wrap.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
watch enough Dancing with the Stars. I can figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, one of our wedding gifts from my grandmother before we got married was she gave us, I think it was 10 ballroom dancing classes. And
That's
and
awesome.
so we got to pick our
That's
wedding
a great
song.
gift.
Yeah, we got to
You
pick
ain't
our
lying.
wedding song, and then they choreographed a unique wedding dance for us, and then we went for 10 lessons and learned it.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it's very
See, and
nice.
I think that's a good idea. So that way, when it is your wedding day, you don't get flustered and nervous, and it's choreography, it's set. you don't have to stress about it.
Yeah, and my mom and I went too, and she picked out what she wanted the mother-son dance to be, and
That's so
and we went and
sweet.
did a couple lessons.
It's kind of a
together.
hot button subject though, because who was the lead singer of Foo Fighters?
Dave Grohl.
Yeah, Dave Grohl.
Yeah. So my wife tells me one morning that she had a dream that she's at a Foo Fighters concert. Dave Grohl pulls her up on stage and they start ballroom dancing.
So now
Should
you
I be
see
mad?
Dave Grohl, yeah, like now you see Dave Grohl. Picture,
Should
you
I
gotta-
be mad?
I would. I'd be frustrated.
Yeah.
My wife got mad at me one time. I told her I had a dream about Brenda Song, and she went, "Why?"
Man,
Hey, she's a ball knower.
She is a ball
Yeah,
knower.
1000%.
And she is beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, well.
Still.
What's wrong with him, Lance?
I don't know, man.
The summertime just brings out the worst in Conrad.
It really does.
I got an extra pep in my step today. I feel great.
Go get a new toothbrush today.
Damien,
I feel
keep your
great.
schedule
I
open
actually
next
got
week.
one last week, so I'm
Did
good.
you really?
I bought, and I will say this. When I buy toothbrushes, I buy 2.
Oh yeah.
So that then,
So you have one.
Exactly.
I do
yeah,
that
and then I
too.
can change it out really
Yeah.
quick. And
Apnea, do you?
no, I don't snore. You're good. You're gonna be.
No, I
fine.
wear it anyways.
Oh, do you really?
Really?
Oh, wait. I can. Great.
But I have a keen sense of smell, and I sleep with one eye open,
I can operate in the dark.
and I have a dart by my side.
Yeah, apparently so. Great questions, Molly.
Thank
Thank
Thanks,
I'll
Molly.
have more tomorrow.
We continue 3-man front on Jox. 151, three-man front here on Jox. We appreciate you listening, you viewing. You can find us there at Toothbrush Challenge yesterday. If you don't have a weak stomach, you're not eating, I advise you to watch that if you want to see Conrad suffer through a challenge, which he was awarded $226 and $2 beers.
That's right.
So
$228.
$228 in value.
It's a good investment.
That's right. We invest in this show. We see good, we see bad. This is something that we saw that was bad, the worst thing that Conrad's seen. Would you do the same thing with her toothbrush?
No, that is not a toothbrush that I would use.
Are you sure?
I'm very sure. I'm sure she's a
You
a
do
big
have
time,
a
but-
standard.
Yeah, I'm sure she's a big time, but I'm not going anywhere near that toothbrush. But as Landrum said, we do see bad things from time to time, and this is a bad thing, but hopefully we can end the story on a more positive note as well. But it is that time of year, of course, the summer, a lot of people going down to the beach. I know many of you have already made at least one trip down there this summer, if not multiple.
Hey, Pat, have fun.
And yeah, hey, Pat, hope you're down there. They probably still got a little ways to go before they get down there. But this is a story that happened in New Smyrna Beach in Florida a handful of days ago, where a man was attacked by a shark while surfing. And that location of the beaches of Florida is known as the shark bite capital of the world. So the victim, his name was Matt Bender. He's a 40-year-old surfer. And when speaking with ABC News after recovering in the hospital, he said, quote, "Just like a lightning strike, I felt it chomp down on my arm and it felt like a bear trap." So fortunately for him, he says he was only in 5 feet of water when he was attacked, but he was on a surfboard. And so he was able to use the leash you tie around your ankle typically. He was able to use that as a tourniquet on his arm to control the bleeding until he got to shore. Fortunately, they were able to get him to a hospital where he is now recovering. But he said in the aftermath of the attack, he used the leash as a tourniquet, got on his belly, and used his surfboard like a boogie board to get back to shore safely before flagging down a young girl and her father, who were able to assist him and get the appropriate paramedics there to take care of him. He said about his operation, quote, "Apparently they had to repair a lot of stuff. It was a pretty long surgery, but I can move my hand and it looks like it's going to be a good prognosis. So I'm very pleased and I feel very blessed." So New Smyrna Beach last year reported 8 shark attacks, and they have seen over 300 since the 1880s. So that's going back quite some time. But according to experts, the area's combination of bait fish and consistent surf breaks create ideal and dangerous conditions for both sharks and surfers. So the good news is, unfortunately, there was a shark attack, but it seems like he is going to make a full recovery. Now, for a more positive note as well, we go to a story that hit home for a lot of us here around the Birmingham and Mountain Brook areas last year, as Lulu Gribben and the shark attack that she suffered and has made an incredible recovery from. But on Tuesday, the U.S. Senate announced that they are unanimously passing something called Lulu's Law, which is establishing a system to issue public notice to cell phones when there have been shark attacks nearby. So hopefully this will be just another resource for people that are going to the beach so that they can keep themselves out of harm's way. And again, it's unfortunate that you have to go through something like what Lulu Gribben did to get to this point, but certainly seems like that is
seems like common
going
sense,
to be,
doesn't it?
It does, and something that will be used for good in the future. So that's a little more